Hey, how you doing? Excuse me. Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. It's Sunday Comics today, Sunday 10 a.m. Do you know where your children are? So there you go. Do you remember that? That's funny that popped into my head. Do you remember that? Do you know where your children are? But anyway, today we're gonna continue Project Pegasus. I think there's two or three more issues. I think two more issues left, and I already did this comic for Sunday Comics, but I couldn't skip it now that we're doing the series of Project Pegasus. So there you go. So this is Marvel 2-in-1, number 56. Let me get this freaking camera. The problem is my basement floor is not level. It was never meant to be lived in, and leveling it with that leveling compound like this, there's like a 4-inch difference between over there and over here, and I don't know. A part of me's mad that I didn't take the time and level the entire floor, but what have you. So there you go. All right, so we got Abrax in the morning. Sounds like its own Sunday morning radio show. As always, we got Fun My Comic Heroic Tales number 2. Let's take a look at the campaign, because I'm at that stage where you don't look at it constantly. So let's get rid of that for a second. And we got my campaign over here. 103 backers. Oh, cool. 3,000. We got to get higher. We got to get higher. And we got no backers. Oh, 9 backers for digital. 8 backers for the bundle. Cool. All right. I never really, only 5 backers for the cosplay. Come on, Martina's going to get her feelings hurt. Okay, the bundles. 1 and 2 bundles. That's good. I like seeing that. The 1 and 2 bundles means I'm getting new people. That's cool. There you go. Various covers. Oh, what is this for an add-on heroic tale? Okay, so you could get a cover of your choice. See other people get various covers. That is great. 5 glasses. Okay, 9 coins. 5 patriarch coins. Oh, I got 2 backers for these. Cool. I haven't been checking. Oh, only 1 t-shirt. Nobody got the Mary Sue shirt yet. Nobody got the Memphis King hoodie. Oh, cool. Couple of card packs. And I don't think I sold any original art yet. Come on, buy it, because if you don't buy it, I will have to. Because especially for my comic. There we go. We'll do that. Stop sharing the screen, and we're back to this. So as normal, I filibuster a bit until we get a bunch of people watching, and this camera refuses to be level, and it is driving me berserkowitz. There we go. All right. Oh, who we got? We got Crenshaw. Crenshaw is the patriarch. And how you doing? Hey, Lacey. Good to see you, Lacey. How are you? Haven't seen you in a while. You and Abrax watching on a Sunday morning? Good. There's some of the OG long box crowd. I'm sure you'll get a sudden explosion of sales to women on that cosplay cover now. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, because Crenshaw is the patriarch. Let's see. I forgot why I actually put that cover. There you go. So, I can show what I'm talking about. I know where I put that. I put it in my file called covers. I worked 10 when you work Saturdays, it just means that it means that they have to work, and Saturday jobs when you're an electrician means that they're turning off stuff. Things are things that you can't turn off during the week, and we're working in a hospital, so things have to be done. You know what I mean? Oh, why can't I find this cover? Damn it. I don't know where it is. But that's good. I mean, no, it's Okay, I can't find it. I'll find it later. But so it's like you have to stay until it gets done because they have to turn power back on as soon as you leave. So we were pulling wire. Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there's electricity in every room in every place, and that electricity has to travel through wires, and those wires have to get from point A to point B. But it's never just a straight path. If it was a straight path, boom, it would be so easy. But there's 90-degree bends this way, a 90-degree bend this way, a bend this way, going around rooms and everything like that. So this pipe, it was 750s. So I don't know if you can see, but a 750 is about a little bit thinner than like, I'll say a coffee mug. And it had to go 240 feet around almost 720 degrees worth of bends. So we had to, last week they tried to do it, and the pulling rope broke 4 times. And they realized they had to do something else. So we got a machine, pulls, and then we got these wires, it's copper wires, rubber insulated, and then copper shielded. And they're really thick. And they came on reels that were too small. Everything went wrong. So as soon as they started unraveling as they were rolling. And oh my God. And because they're thick and they're heavy, the wires would hit the ground and jam everything. And that would blow out the machine, blow out circuits. And again, this is a hospital, So it was just, so long story short, there was 4 reels. So a guy had to take each reel and spin it by hand because the machine usually pulls, so we were spinning. Oh my God. It was 10 hours because it was 4 different runs and just pushing these reels, each reel was 2,000 pounds. Of course they're on a pole and you're rolling them, but it was rough, man. Oh my God. I came home. I was like a zombie last night. People were messaging me, my friends, we talk, and I was just like, sorry, I don't even want to talk. I got home about 5:30 because I had to wake up at 3 to catch the train. And so I get to work early, so because it's Saturday schedule. So I'm at work 45 minutes early, and then sit in Penn Station waiting for the train because you're never just released at the right time. I came home and I just wanted to sleep, so I chugged coffee. If I didn't want to go to bed at 5 o'clock, then I'd wake up at 2, and so I stayed up until 10. Went to bed, and I slept like a baby. I just slept like it was so good. It was so good. Up at the crack, let me tell you what. Good to see you. Happy Sunday, RJ. How's it going? Crenshaw. So what exactly do you expect on a Saturday job? No, I expect it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. Once in a while, you get what's called a blitz and blow, where it's something just got to be done. If you go in on a Saturday, it's an 8-hour minimum day. That's just the rules. So you go in on Saturday, it's 8 hours, and it's time and a half. So think of it as 12 hours of pay, but it's 8 hours, time and a half. Sometimes you can go in and it's a blitz and blow. As soon as you're done, you leave, and then everybody agrees. No coffee break, no lunch. Let's just get out of here. That doesn't happen that much anymore, especially at a hospital. At a hospital, they save all the big jobs because they're turning down power in areas, and it just has to be done. So they were told that you want to come in Saturday, blitz and blow, regular day, till completion. Till completion is like, some guys just are desperate for money. Some guys don't want to be home. They love that you could be there for 18 hours. You know what I mean? For me, I'm happy to work Saturday. The money is nice, and I'm happy not to work because I enjoy my time off. I'm at a position where I don't have kids going to college. I'm not buying a house. I'm not 22 years old trying to save up for the future. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be rich off of an 8-hour shift on a Saturday. It's not going to solve all of my problems. So I'm happy to work. I'm happy to stay home, but till completion. So the thing is, on Monday, they ask you if you're available. So you go into work on Monday. What's your availability? And I said, whatever you want. I said, whatever you want. I could use the extra money after being out of work for 6 months. I could use I went through all my savings. You know what I mean? So I'm back to putting myself available whenever you want. But I'm happy when they don't ask me to work. Then Friday, I'm taking off my work boots, and they're like, "Oh, nobody told you you're working tomorrow." I'm like, that, because I'm already planning the weekend. Wes from Thinking Critical asked me to show up on the Aficionado show Saturday at 10 a.m. And I already said yes. I was like, oh, yeah, that would be great. So that would be cool. And then I had to message him back and say, like, I just got asked to work. He was like, yeah, that's cool. No problem. He was cool about it. So I was already mentally enjoying my weekend. And so I was like, oh, man. And he goes, it's till completion. And I was like, oh, God. That means you stay until. And the thing is, if you say you're available, that's great. And then when they ask you to work, you say you can't work. That is worse than saying you're not available. Once you say you're available, and then they ask you to work, you go, you show up. That's like, you ask a girl says yes to a date and then she changes her mind. You're like, oh God, you know what I mean? Once you say you're available, you go to work. Once if they assign you that, because then you're just on the F troop list, and then they're not going to ask you for a long time. So you got to go back to City Field Supervise. I hated that. I will never go back. I hated that. For Pete Rock's a personal friend of mine. We know in real life. I went to grade school with his wife. That's how we met. I've known his wife since third grade. So I've known Pete, I don't know, 30 years now. Pete, 30 years, would you say? 20 years? 30 years? I don't know. But I used to do the scoreboard at City Field for the Mets. And I hate baseball. I hated the culture. I hated guys just yelling and screaming. And the thing is, it was less than straight time. So I would go for an entire game of baseball, and I would make more money if I stayed on my job and made 2 hours, 3 hours overtime. So I did it as a courtesy. COVID happened, and it was a good time to leave. I did it for 5 years. Fun. Got a good story out of it. I'm done. I'm done with that. Hope you all having a blessed Sunday. Thank you. It is a good Sunday. Nice and relaxed. Nice out. My wife wants to go to the mall for something. So I was like, all right, we're going to the mall. We're going to go play the arcade. And we're going to go to the food court. I always call that 80s day. So the wife and I are going to have an 80s day. Go to the mall, hang out at the food court, play video games. John, how dare you be happy? I'm a pretty happy guy. I bark and complain every once in a while, but I'm a generally real happy guy. It's funny because everybody at work is miserable. And guys say it, that they like when I'm around because I'm joking, I'm laughing, I'm happy. Like yesterday, it was I'm not gonna lie, it was rough, man. I came home, I was beat. Brian Bauer was messaging me, and I was like, sorry, Brian, I can't talk. I'm just tired. Not in a bit. My wife's like, are you in a bad mood? No, I'm just tired. It was just a rough day. Every muscle hurt. But I'm generally happy. I read a statistic, I've said this many times, that men are happiest in their 50s. And I never believed that because I read that in my 30s. And now I think back, and it's the truth, Can't complain. Had a rough year last year, but things are good. Can't complain. Heroic Tales number 2. That's my comic. Hope you enjoyed it. This next issue is so much better. Marcus read it already. Marcus read half of it already. It is so much better. Marcus, tell everybody how good it is. We got Old Dirty Fatty saying hello. Hey, Dave Brink is here. Dave Brink for Genuine Comics. Check out Genuine Comics. Here is the link. Dave, I hope my superhero comics will be as good as Dave Brink's superhero comics someday. I look forward to it. I just saw is Safeguard. What a great name for a superhero team. I'm so jealous. Safeguard is coming out, and then you have another comic that you just announced that looks amazing. Happiness is selfish, don't you? Happiness makes bitter and miserable people. I know. When I see people, I don't understand it. Like this people actively cheering on Yellow Flash. I'll just use that as an example. Yellow Flash was on Friday. Okay, good conversation. It's rough for me because I have a difficult time when people don't turn on their cameras. You know, I like to look at people in the face and judge their reactions and things like that. But anyway, that was a little rough for me. But you know, Yellow Flash, I'm not gonna say no. So there's people actively cheering that his. I think his comic's doing great. I wish my comic did half as good as his comic. But I don't get that. Doesn't why root for other people to fail? I mean, I could see a serial killer. You don't want that guy to be a great serial killer. You want him to be a bad serial killer. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. I'll be grocery shopping a little later with all the frazzled lost fathers. Oh, today's Mother's Day. See, my wife and I don't have any kids, so and my mother's gone and her mother's gone, so we kind of put it out of sight, out of mind. But happy Mother's Day. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. I should have done a Mother's Day related comic. Oh, thank you. Yeah, happy Mother's Day. Yep. So I wonder if there'll be if the ball will be crowded. But anyway, thank you all. Filibustering done. From this point on, I'll talk to comic and address the chat. True rooting for the sex for yes, absolutely. Yeah. You know, I'm rooting for everybody. I'm rooting for everybody. You got a comic campaign, you got a board game campaign, you got a role-playing campaign. Why would I want you to fail? It makes no sense. Even the people I don't like, there's a couple of people I don't like. I don't think I have to mention names. I want their campaigns to be successful. Why? Because there's people backing it. You know, I don't want them to spend their money. You know, it's just so whatever. But apparently being happy and positive is not as cool and trendy and popular on the internet. You know, maybe I should do a trash cast. Dave Brink stinks. Dave Brink is the worst. He's a jerk. He's a jerk. I hate him. There you go. Did I just get 40,000 super chats? Speaking of super chats, I don't like the idea of super chats. They make me uncomfortable. I remember your boy Zach used to say that he didn't like super chats. It made him uncomfortable. And I was like, stupid, free money. It's free money. You know, and I was like, this is just him sabotaging himself. Now that I get super chats, I kind of get what he's saying. You know, you feel like a cam girl. So I'm not, you know, I welcome super chats. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit super chats, all the YouTube stuff that I never say. But I'd like to give you something. You know what I mean? I like to feel that you're getting something. So I made the Memphis King Fighting Society cards because people seem to like King Fu. He'll be a big part of Heroic Tales number 3. So there, DC Miller designed this. He's so talented, so talented. And then on the back is, let it be known that you sign your name is a charter member in good standing of the Memphis King Fighting Society and hereby entitled to all adulation and this was actually signed by King Fu, Grand Dojo Sensei. These privileges, so you can't give this away. You can't give this away. Once you get it, it's good. And then this is my favorite, Blue Suede Bruise. How great is that? So if you do a super chat, or if you don't feel like a super chat, you know, you just want to buy one, it's $5, you know, at John's Long Box at yahoo.com, you know, PayPal, or you could super chat. But if you super chat, you got to email me at johnslongbox at yahoo.com and give me your address and I'll mail you one of these. So it's, you know, yes, super chats, they help. And everything goes towards the comics or paying for StreamYard and stuff like that, you know, but because my job pays my bills. But at least you get something. And this is a high quality. This is a linen card. This is a linen card. So there you go. There you go. So there you go. Super chat's welcome. And I don't feel like a cam girl. You know, I'm not like Yellow Flash. Somebody super chatted and I fell for it and I read it. And after I said to Yellow Flash, I'm not reading any super chats that are insulting. You know, but this would look like a real one. And then I read it and I was like, oh God, I fell for it. Did we already do this comic? Yes, we did. We did do this comic a couple of months ago, but now I'm doing it as part of the series for Project Pegasus. Yes, so we did do this comic already. You're absolutely right. Our Thunder and Titan are a bit too similar in what they bring to Marvel. Absolutely, absolutely. Titana is a, if I remember correctly, she was a, matter of fact, she fought Titana last issue. Thundra fought Titana last issue. They're big, tall, powerful, beautiful, sexy, clobbering women, you know, super strong women. The difference is Titana is from the Earth, you know, and she was a lady wrestler, and Thundra is from the Femizons, alternate future of female supremacy. The hate battery must be fed. There you go. Is the comic book. The hate battery. There you go. The hate, you know, hate monger. It depends on your business model. Some rely on super chats as part of their revenue, and they aren't all cam girls. Yes, yes. And again, whatever, but what works for you works for you. Some people are full-time professional YouTubers, and super chats and views are their income. That pays their mortgage. That puts their kids through college. That pays the bill. I get that. I get that. I have the luxury of having a nice, real job. You know what I mean? So this YouTube and comic books is a glorified hobby. You know, is that a bad thing to say? Did I just say something wrong? But you know what I mean? And I would like my hobby to be self-sustaining. You know, I want to save for my future. I want to save for, you know, my retirement. Move out there with Pete. You know, things like that. So New York is expensive. You know what I mean? Making comics is expensive. I got 4 comics in various stages of completion right now. That's a lot of money. And $3,000 was what I raised on Heroic Tale Soup. But that's not even going to pay for one comic. You know what I mean? Issue 1 I paid out of pocket. Fine, that don't bother me. Issue 1 paid for issue 2. You know, so issue 2 has got to pay for issue 3, and so on and so forth. So there we go. So that's what I'm doing. That's what super chats. That's what ad revenues. That's what comic purchases go towards. So there you go. Okay, cool. It was a fun issue, so I'm not complaining. Cool. Yeah. I mean, maybe you thought, you know, if you're like me, you doubt your memory. YouTubers are YouTubers because they don't want to work. Marcus said it, and I'm agreeing with them. They think it's fun. They think it's glamorous. They think it's easy, you know. And maybe it is. Maybe it is. But I only got a couple of years left. I'm not risking my pension and then becoming a cam girl, you know. So here we go. Marvel 2-in-1. The Thing battles Thundra, and as you can see over here, John Byrne. I don't want to pick it up a movie that puts the camera out of focus. John Byrne, Terry Austin on this cover. Look at that. That's just my favorite combo in all of comics. John Byrne, Terry Austin. So John Byrne drew it, laid it out, drew it, and Terry Austin inked it. I love that. Now, Marcus, maybe you know. Back then, did they scan these images and Terry Austin inked a scan, or did Terry Austin actually ink the same exact page that John Byrne actually drew? So, like, is there an original penciled John Byrne cover someplace? And then you know, I never thought of that before, or maybe I did. I don't know. Hey, Buzz, how you doing? How you doing? So let's open up this time. I mean it. From going forward, once we open the comic, check out the comic, and then the comments. So we got the gold-colored Centurion leader from Battlestar Galactica. 4-inch scale. I had all of these. The ovoids. Is that that's the ovoids. Yeah. The Silver Centurion, Imperious Leader, Ovion. There you go. That's the Imperious Leader. I gotta rewatch this original Battlestar Galactica. I bet you it's nowhere near as good as I think it was. You know, The Thing and Thundra, the deadlier of the species. So now we got Mark Grunwald, Ralph Macchio, the authors. George Perez and Day. I forget what Day's first name is. Artists. Watanabe letterer, Sharon colorist, Bob Stern editor, and Jim Shooter editor-in-chief. So I'm noticing here that the credits say Perez and Day are the artists. Whatever they say, that implies that you know, usually they have a penciler and an inker. And that's typical standard comic book way of doing things that we think of. One guy does all the pencils in lead, or digital these days, digital line work, and then another person comes over and covers that in ink, adding depth and shadows, things like that. But they're both being credited with artists, so that means to me that maybe Perez didn't do as much as he normally does, and Day did more than he would normally do. So yeah, I just saw the Gene Day. I thought it was Gene Day, but I wasn't sure. So here we go. Now we got Thundra. Thundra just beat the female Furies into submission. Now, for those of you who know, there was Jack Kirby created the New Gods, and with the New Gods, there was like 100 characters that are part of the New Gods. So there was the female Furies in the New Gods, and they were an all-girl group of like enforcers, hitmen, whatever you want to call them, from Darkseid, and they were trained by Granny Goodness. Granny Goodness is, I just hate Granny Goodness. I can't get past the name. I know the Darkseid New God names are purposely hokey, but like Funky Flashman, I could accept. What's the other one? I forget. But Granny Goodness, I can't get past Granny Goodness. I'm sorry. That is I can accept Matter Eater Lad or Bouncing Boy, but Granny Goodness. Oh, sorry, Gene. Sorry, Jack. Sorry, Jack. But anyway, she had a team of female, whatever you want to call them, enforcers. And now Marvel copies that. So we got, but these female enforcers are female wrestlers, like Superpowered Wrestling League. So here we go. Now she beat Titana, their former leader, and she takes over, and now she's using them for evil. I guess I'm still tired from yesterday. And they're breaking into Project Pegasus. All right, so now we'll turn it. Oh, I forgot to just chat. Does that go for everybody in the entertainment business? What, getting super chats or not wanting to really work? Oh, yeah, you're addressing Marcus. Marcus said YouTubers are YouTubers because they don't want to work. It is work. It is work. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not one of these people that says, like, it has to be physical work, blah, 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 blah. Like, to me, work is an ends to a means. Is that the right expression? Like, work is something that you do to feed your family, to provide, to get shelter. And it's all honorable. It's all respectful, unless you're a hitman or an abortionist. But it's all respectful. It's all honorable. Are you doing an honest day's work and providing for your family and not leeching off the government and not being a drain on society? Good for you, buddy. Good for you. I don't care if it's a YouTuber. I don't care if it's an accountant. I don't care if it's an actor. And I don't care, even a politician, theoretically. It's just that what politicians are, they become, or what they do with it, rather. So cop, YouTuber, whatever. Are you paying your bills, providing, it's all honorable. So, I'm not going to besmirch a guy who's a professional YouTuber, No, he inked the original pages. There was no scanning back then, and the letters were also, yeah. Okay, I thought so. Okay, besides all the technical people in the industry, like set builders and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I have a cousin that's an electrician on movie sets out in Hollywood, So I'm not, at one point I was like, screw all these animators, all the cartoons suck and it's all woke propaganda and blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, like, I got friends who are comic book or animation guys who are out of work. And I'm like, yeah, everything is more complicated than it should be. Good morning, John. How are you? Great name. John to John. Weren't the original Furies? Oh, yeah, the female Furies. Granny Goodness is creepy, motherhood twisted. Yeah. The only problem with her is the name. but I do like the concept. I do like the character of an evil, twisted, sociopathic woman who literally uses motherhood as a weapon. It is an amazingly scary, evil concept. Just the name. I just wish she had a better name, like the Matriarch or something like that. You know what I mean? I know Big Barter was one. Yep, Big Barter. Pete Rock. You just reminded me of my favorite movie quotes, Magnificent. We all deal in lead, friend. We all deal. Yeah. So here they are. Here's the female Furies. And I've talked about this before, but there's something about the red and yellow color motif with the lightning bolt. It is just amazing. It's probably because I'm biased, because Captain Marvel Shazam that's one of my favorite costumes of all time. It probably is my favorite costume of all time. As much as Superman is my favorite character, like I always say John Byrne, Terry Austin are my favorite artists, and like Superman and Captain Marvel are really, to me, they fill that same niche. I say Superman because he's more popular, but Captain Marvel Shazam is up there as my favorite character, hands down my favorite costume. And that red and yellow is so striking. It's so great, and I love the double breasted with the line. That just makes the costume. The later on where he doesn't have that, is that what it's called? A double? Is it or single breasted? When he doesn't have that flap, that it diminishes the costume. But it's so good. Then the Flash, the original Flash, red and yellow. Oh, that's the original Flash was red, yellow, and blue, but the Barry Allen Flash, I love that. That's my go-getter is total homage to that. So they're breaking into Project Pegasus. They're all going down. And what do we have here? 2 pages, not a lot of real estate to bring us up to speed. So here is so she was about to lose. She was about to beat Titana. I misremembered. She was about to lose to Titana, but then Titana drugged her, and she got defeated. So now, because she's defeated, she's in debt to the what is the name of this group? Oh God, that's gonna drive me nuts. Did they say it here? But they're so now she is in, like, basically honor bound to serve their needs, and now they're breaking into the Project Pegasus. So she awakes, and we spoke to a vast organization. Blah blah blah. You work for us now, and the reason they needed someone with great strength and courage to perform a test. They had much risk involved. I was the ideal choice. I was accompanied by 4 female wrestlers. The women less. Their costumes possess energy elements that heightened their formidable abilities. Their stage names were suggestively accurate. So Titana, Screamin' Mimi, Pound Cakes. Oh my God, is Pound Cakes the greatest name ever? Oh my God, Pound Cakes. Short story about Pound Cakes. My role-playing game. I always keep this right here because I always mention it. Villains Vigilantes. One of the players, his name was Yoshi. He made up a character, and then he got a girlfriend, and then she wanted to see what he was doing every Friday night, and she came, and she watched, and she realized he wasn't sleeping around, he wasn't drinking and hanging out, he was just pretending to be a superhero with me and a bunch of other people. And then she joined, and she became a super strong girl, but she couldn't think up a name. So Jimmy, my friend, just called her Pound Cakes. And that became her character's name. And it was just, she was fun, She didn't know what she was doing, and she just didn't matter that the name was already taken in the Marvel comic book. She didn't hear it. So she became Pound Cakes. It was awesome. I love that name. I wish this is one of the names I just actively want to steal for basically the same exact character. Big, strong, thick bruiser, Pound Cakes. It is just awesome. It's such a good name. And then Letha, that's the worst. I hate that. Letha. Thundra, it works. I don't know why Thundra works, but Letha doesn't work in my mind. I'm a crazy person. And Titanic, even though it ends in the A, it is the name from Shakespeare. But the Titana from Shakespeare is the queen of the Fae. But they use the name Titan. It works because Titan, Titana. But Titania is the queen of the fairies. So Titania, if I was to make up a character named Titania, she would be more like Galadriel than She-Hulk. Anyway, the mission seemed easy enough. We're going to steal some device and leave. So here they go. So now we're all brought up to speed. There we go. Let's check out the comments. Dave Brink, yeah, all the names were silly. Guillotina and Stompa didn't sound that scary. Yeah, Lasha, Guillotina, Stomp. I hate when they just, Puncha. I am Puncha. I just hate that. Big Barda is my comic troll. Yeah, Big Barda is a name that shouldn't work. It didn't, but sometimes a character escapes a bad premise. Like Big Barda, perfect example. I know there's other ones, but there's characters that are just created in a bad premise, but they transcend that. Like Screaming Mimi, not a great character, but she becomes Songbird in the Thunderbolts, and then later on joins the Avengers. It's a character that escaped a bad premise. I'm sure if that's actually a good subject for a video, characters that started out with a bad premise and became better than that. If my mind's a blank right now. Not a fan of Captain Marvel's shorty cape. I love that short cape. I don't know why. The original, with the Lacey, is that what it's called? The single-breasted? A double-breasted would be two lines with two buttons. But I love that single-breasted suit and the lightning bolt and the short cape with the rope, and then like a collar on the cape, and then the little flower like laces, but they have to be like rope that like not printed on the material, but like rope, so that it's just so classy. It's just so classy. Big Barda was based on the actress Lani Kazan and Kirby's wife Roz. Good for you, Kirby. In fact, Thundar is a lot like Big Barda. Yes. You mean Thundra. Thundra. Yeah, Thundra is Big Barda. Pretty much Marvel's Big Barda. Elemental powered uniforms. That doesn't sound like League. Well, everybody in this is the Unlimited Class Wrestling League. The Unlimited Class. So, just everybody's on super steroids. I like Letha if it worked until title like Spawn's armor. Okay. Hi, Lord Zart. Good to see you. I was thinking Queen of the Fairies as well. Yep. Does Barda mean anything? No, it's just a name. Barda. It just, the reason why Dave's asking, for those of you curious, English is his second language. He's from a made-up country in Europe called the Netherlands. It doesn't really exist. The Netherlands is in another dimension, and we pretend it exists on Earth. No. When I was a kid and somebody told me about the Netherlands, I thought they meant the nether world. So I was like, isn't that in another dimension? And it just became one of those silly family jokes. You could steal it. Nobody remembers pound cakes at Marvel, but today it's more like a gay superhero's name. I know. Yes, single-breasted. Thank you for yes. Okay, you don't like the cape. You don't like the cape. So then if Eddie is Doom does well, I'd like to do some silly comics in the world of comic books within Heroic Tales. How's that for meta? Like the comic books that Patriarch's children would read would be Top Comics and Premier Comics, and his Top Comics, his DC Premier Comics would be Marvel, and Top Comics they have the Mighty Family, which is the Marvel family. Spell check. Not even room for a cape pocket. I know. How are you going to accessorize if you don't have room for pockets? Remember that was like a trend like a year or two ago. Like all the girls, this has pockets. This has pockets. I never realized that was a big deal for women, that dresses didn't have pockets. I thought that's why they carried pocketbooks and all the problems were solved. But you don't see pocketbooks anymore. I just realized. Wow, pocketbooks is. I know I have one woman watching. Pocketbooks a thing anymore? A country that exists below sea level has to be fan. I know. Dave Brink, is the Submariner or Aquaman the ruler of your nation? So let's turn the page. We got the Roman Legion over here. We got Johnson Smith Company. I love this Johnson Smith Company stuff. I love these gags. I love these gags. So look at this panel. Look at that panel. It makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense, but it is freaking cool. she's coming out of this column over here. What is that column? And then it's so high up that it's dark. They're underground. There should be lights hanging down everywhere. Where I'm working is way underground in Manhattan, and it's a Presbyterian hospital. It's like 4 or 5 different hospitals put together. It's 18 buildings, and there's tunnels that connect them all, and then there's tunnels that connect all of Manhattan. So I'm in the tunnels directly below the hospital, and it is dark, and there's just lights hanging on the wall. Like you'd never, like it's brighter down there than outside, because OSHA, if you got hurt down there and it didn't have so many lumens per square foot, you're just going to sue. But I love this. You got blue, you got dark blue, almost purple, and then you got orange, and then green. Look at that simple color palette. She jumps out. Boom. So these poor guys, these are just construction workers. This guy's like, man, I'm getting double time today so I could afford my YouTube streams and maybe make a comp. Oh, boom. And then he just gets clobbered. That ain't right. The older I get, the more I'm just like, the guys on the Death Star were just construction workers like me, just like, yeah, I spend 6 months working on this Star, go back home to tattooing and, spend some time with my wife and kids, and then spend another 6 months back on the Death Star, because you imagine you don't commute to the Death Star, right? Or even worse, did the family go live on the Death Star where they're working? And now, they're continuing on. They're continuing on. So Thundra, being the one who doesn't need an elemental suit to power, she's carried. Oh, the Grapplers. That's the name of the group. The Grapplers. Let's go, Grapplers. Sisters, wait. We're to exit quietly with no disturbance. Sorry, Toots, but we ain't. But we got other orders you ain't been let in on. So see you in the showers. So we cut back to the other story. The whole reason that Ben Grimm is here is his ward, godson, whatever you want to call him, Wundar. So Wundar is a strange visitor from another planet, comes to Earth in a rocket ship, and he has the ability to nullify all energy around him. So that's why it's always dark around him. That's why it's a little cold. And strangely enough, he also saps all superpowers. So Ben Grimm is still stronger than the average bear, but he's weaker than normal in the presence of Wundar. He can't turn it off. And he also has the mind of a child. So Ben is just like, is he getting the care that he needs, or is he being exploited, kind of thing? And he's there checking out. And now Ben is talking. And what do? We cut back to all of this stuff. Last issue, it was Nuclo and Giant Man. And now Wundar, they don't even give him a blanket. He's just on a specimen table. Come on, Shield. Give this guy a bed. And Ben's just like, yeah, well, I'm going to go get him a pillow. And so he's saying, so what is Ben doing? Ben's a good guy. Ben is the softie of the Fantastic Four, paradoxically. I love Ben. So he is talking, letting him know what's going on. Like, I'm not just going to leave you here by yourself. Maybe you can hear me. He goes, look, I'm sorry for what happened to you. I never should have let them use you for the energy experiments. So he's just apologizing. I got to leave him. Seeing him vegged out like that makes me fit to cry. Poor Ben, So the echoes of his footprints go, Ben, I understand. So Wundar is coming too. This right here, this panel right here, you could hear that music from the Lou Ferrigno Hulk dude, just walking away in the shadow. I gotta leave. Seeing him vegged out like that makes me fit to cry. Ben, you big softy. You big softy, Ben. Oh, wow, a lot of comments. Okay. Pound cakes, big barter, but you got a problem, Cable? Yes. Pound cakes explains her powers. She's pound cakes, pounding, smashing, and it was a colloquialism, a term for a tough girl. I don't know where it came from, but I heard it. I went back as far as the Odd Couple, pound cakes. That was just like a rough and tumble girl, usually a lesbian, so it fit. Big Barda, like I said, She's big and her name is Barda, but at least it describes her. Cable doesn't describe Cable. Cable, Pound Cakes is a perfect focus. When I say Pound Cakes, you knew exactly what her powers were. You knew exactly what her personality was. Big Barda, as lame as it is, you get an idea of the concept of the character. Granny Goodness, it does in an ironic way. She's a liar, a manipulator, somebody who's trying to hoodwink and gaslight you. So look at me, I'm Granny Goodness. Everybody loves their grandma, and she's Granny Goodness, but she's wholly the opposite. That works too. But Cable, how does Cable explain anything about, how does it focus that character? I'm Cable. You know, you might if you change his name to Cup, I'm Cup, and left him exactly the same, nothing would change. It would, you know. Purses are an external pocket. Yep. A pocketbook is a wallet. You're talking about a purse, and that's the way it is. Away with this East Coast pocketbook stuff. Ooh, I touched a nerve over there. Oh, I guess I'm getting teamed up against Marcus E2 Marcus off to church. Go get you churching up. Her sons are like the underground tunnels in downtown Houston. They have them to stay away from the heat. Oh wow, so they're accessible to the public. That's cool. I didn't know that. I just assume that any metropolitan, city place has tunnels. Just assume that they do. So I laugh now because now I see on Twitter now that they're revealing that there's secret underground cities and stuff like that. Didn't you just assume there were? There is. Why you acting all surprised? Stippling wrong. The Death Star wasn't a Hyatt hotel. That's what Enterprise D was. Yes, Enterprise D. In the first season, they made a big deal about showing that the Picard's Enterprise had a daycare and schools and carpeted hallways and everything like that. And then later on, they never really got rid of it, but they never really showed it anymore. But going out and fighting the Borg with your family on board the ship, that's why the Source are separated. And they kind of just did away with that stuff. Happy Sunday. Happy Mother's Day. Greetings from North Coast. Oh, and Stippling. I'm working on the script. I didn't forget you. Usually I do my writings on the weekends. So yesterday was a wash. I got nothing done. So I'm still working on the script, and I'm working on a script for DC Miller, and then I got to finish up the issue 1 of Patriarch for Renzo because he's getting near done. Did Lex Luthor feed Big Barter 40 cakes? 40 cakes and a mule. Joe Dog, how you doing? I wish we could have gotten something like the DC animated Superman Justice League oh my god. The 90s Fantastic Four cartoon was the best version of the Fantastic Four. The first season was okay, but the second season was outstanding. Cable is a time traveler, hence time. If you say so. Pet peeve. Good. Somebody's crazy like me, and they have pet peeves, hills that they will die on. I didn't realize yours was pocketbooks and wallets. That's cool. I'm not emotionally invested in it, so I'm amused by it. So that's cool. Yes, they have them open for people. They have malls. Oh, cool. Star Trek episodes, Disaster and Rascals were kid focused. Yes. There's a few that are kid focused. Yes. I kind of like the idea of like the family goes with in a science exploration vessel, and that's what the Enterprise was supposed to be, a science exploration vessel. It wasn't supposed to be a combat vessel. Here we got more ads. We got some more ads. We got superhero Mike, Mr. Universe Menster, incredible muscle building heavy duty plan. At the risk of sounding gross, I had 3 chimichangas the other day, and I had a heavy duty. So now we get back to this page. What Thundra? What in blazes are you doing here? Better open up, lady, because I'm on security detail. Grim here. Why wasn't I warned? Please, Ben. I can say nothing at this point. Leave me quietly. I have no desire to harm you. That's swell, babe, but I got a job to do. Come on. Nobody will get hurt. I ask you in the name of our friendship to let me pass, Ben Grimm. Do not force my hand. Do not make me strike you. Ba-bam. Now, Thundra comes from an alternate future where the Femizons rule. She was sent back in time, and she has this fetish where she likes big, strong, dominating men. And it's, I don't know. We could get all Freud on this, but I don't want to get all Freud on this. But she comes from a society where the men dominate the women. And it's like a sexual dimorphism. Through selective breeding, the women are big, strong, and tough, and the men are weak. Think of that, since we're talking about the next generation, Stippling will probably mention that episode where they go to the planet where all the women are big, gorgeous women, and all the men are like Twinkies. They look like Peter Pan. And the woman gets attracted to Riker, much to the chagrin of her little boy toy, but there's nothing he can do about it. So it's the same thing. She comes to Earth and she just sees these big, tough men, and she's just like, I don't want to breed with these little men. They're gonna make little weakling daughters, or so she likes Ben for whatever reason. She's me psychologically, I think that she recognizes the compassion and niceness, and it makes a nice juxtaposition of his rocky strength. Like he's the perfect man in her eyes. I love this. Sheesh. Every time I run into this bird, I end up getting trounced. Well, even if it ain't exactly a one shade because of this bum arm, I still got to stop her. I find out what's going on. Again, Ben Grimm got shot in the arm by Deathlock the Demolisher, by like a mazer that was so tight and so focused that it actually severed an artery, and he was bleeding out. And they repaired it. But this is like a week since he got hurt. I love that he still has the bandages on. All right, you big bundle of laughs. You went and got all Benji riled up for nothing. It's clobbering time. So now he just tackles Thundra. And what do we have? Just interesting. Again, this is comics right here. This panel. What are they doing? We got Giant Man and Quasar talking about all the security lapses. That is necessary information. Something is going on. There's too many times that these security lapses happen in a week for it to be a coincidence. We have a security problem. Now, that is an interesting, necessary conversation between two characters to have. What are they doing while they're having that conversation? They're in costume and they're cleaning up all the damage. Now, does anybody get where I'm going? You pick up what I'm laying down? In a modern Marvel comic, they would be sitting in the cafeteria having coffee, or even worse, at desks handing papers to each other. No, it's not what they're talking about. It's what you see. Comics is a visual medium. So we got Quasar over here blasting debris. We got Giant Man in full giant size, full costume, using their powers in a cool way while discussing something important. Not over a cup of coffee, and you all know I love my coffee. Glug, glug, glug. But they're doing it in a cool, superheroic way. Now the alarm goes off, they check out the schematics, and they're off. Splitting up the team, no D&D player would recommend this. Don't split the party, but different genres over here. So before I turn the page, Lacey Lee has more than one pet peeve. Tell me some more of your pet peeves. I love that stuff. That's the kind of stuff that makes interesting characters. Mad Harriet and Lashina were female Furies too. Yes, Mad Harriet, one of the scariest looking faces that Jack Kirby ever drew. Something about Mad Harriet's face always gave me the creeps. Like she's like a female Joker. Does anybody remember? What's her name? Dula Dent, the daughter of the Joker. Oh my God! When George Perez drew her, it was terrifying. I hate that DC is breaking into the no-kill rule, which is important to the Batman character, and they've been doing this since 1989. I've been saying that forever. That the Tim Burton Batman, you might as well be the Punisher. Just Just drive a tank into the enemy fortress and drop a bomb. Problem solved. That's not how Batman should. That's, you know what I mean? That takes away Batman as the super smart guy. Now Batman is just a blunt force. He wears armor, drives a tank, drops bombs. Does that sound like Batman to you? Well, to Tim Burton, it does. Yes, Matt Harriet and Lashina were furious. Okay, I thought I was going crazy. Wasn't the plant of SJW? Oh, jeez. I'm thinking Star Wars J. I'm like, what series is Star? But it's SJW Trek. They probably took over the SS Discovery. Where am I? Okay. All caught up. I'm still a little discombobulated from work yesterday. All right, we got Marvel Book Treasury. This fruit stripe gum that was like, oh, it's lost its flavor already. It's like, oh, this was delicious. Oh, it's over. So now we got Quasar, just looking cool, blue and red, yellow, basically Superman colors, right? Superman's blue, red, and yellow, and running down it. And what does he do? He encounters Screaming Mimi, and which one is this one? Lasha or Letha. I hate that. Panther. Lightning. I just hate that. I also hate O. With the exception of Magneto and Electro, because those are actual real words, I don't really like O. At the end, and it's funny because my friend Joe Lombardi, he's one of the original people I played Villains Vigilantes with. Product placement. He made up Disinto, and Disinto had disintegration rays, and he dressed up like the Pharaoh from the Batman, like Victor Bueno as the Pharaoh, and he just talked like a madman villain, and it was fun. He was playing on the idea of a ridiculous Silver Age DC supervillain, and it was fun whenever Disinto showed up, So, yeah, I just wonder if Disinto will show up in Heroic Tales one day. He's just ridiculous, and I love it. It's goofy. Sometimes a character transcends their premise. So here we got Quasar. Quasar is a normal physical human. His powers all stem from the quantum bands that give him his superhuman abilities. So notice he's not using his powers. So she takes him by surprise and just dispatches him. Boom. He's kind of stunned right here. And now he's powering up. Letha doesn't have a chance against a fully prepared, fully aware Quasar. Also, keep in mind these are lady wrestlers, so they jump out of the way, Screaming Mimi ducks out of the way. And again, it's Quasar's nature to be a protector, not an enforcer. That's how he survived using his quantum bands. The person, the Blue Marvel, who originally was supposed to be the original Marvel boy, but then was retconned as not the Marvel boy. He was destroyed by his quantum bands because he became an aggressor rather than a defender. And then a couple of other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, nameless S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, were also destroyed by the quantum bands because they were aggressors rather than defenders. Now, Wendell Vaughn survives because he is a defender rather than an aggressor. And I wonder if Marvel keeps that. So he's not blasting. He's not trying to take them out. He's trying to warn them. Listen, I got power. I got power here, and I can dispatch you. Now, see, he fires these two warning shots, and he's talking to him. Wendell sees them as lady wrestlers. He's not ready for this. Screaming Mimi screams, and she has this psionic scream that just penetrates his defenses and goes directly into his noggin. So she's given his noggin a flogging. So let's check out the comments before I... Wasn't Joker's daughter also called Harley Quinn? Yes, her secret identity was Dula Dent. So I think it was like a red herring that you were supposed to believe that it was Two-Face's daughter, but Joker's daughter. But I don't think she was actually related to either one of them. I think she was just like a Harley Quinn, just obsessed with them. I don't quote me on that one. Yeah, the dual mounted machine guns on the Batmobile really hurt the... Yeah, there you go. Backup. Oh, I love the backup. Lion-O. Yeah. Lion-O, Panthro, Chitara. Chitara works. Chitara just sounds good, but I don't like when they put an O at the end. Chemo. Oh, chemo works because chemo's a word. So now he's summoning all of his will to resist. But Screaming Mimi is still screaming. So now we basically have like a will charisma battle between Wendell Vaughn, Quasar, and Screaming Mimi. And who's going to succeed? Keep them away. I don't want to kill them. Please keep them away. So he's freaking out into the trough of despair, but he's still acting like a protector, not an aggressor. So he's saying, keep them away. He's protecting himself. And what does he do? He lashes out with this energy and then just makes a cage around them. Now, unfortunately, he's not thinking 100%. So this cage is not stopping this sonic mental attack, but it is keeping Letha away, and he's still freaking out. And what does he do? They're demons. They're coming through my cages and holding them. I mustn't let them get me. I mustn't fail. I won't fail. I'll never fail. Fail, never, never, never. And then we have this awesome image over here. Oh my God, look at that. Look at that. Just freaking cool. The bonds of madness burst. Quasar is consumed with an intensity of purpose beyond anything he has ever experienced. An intensity which finds release in a blossoming waves of quasi-stellar energy. So that's what a quasar is. Quasi-stellar star, I think. Quasi-stellar star or quasi-stellar object. But quasar is a contraction of quasi-stellar. They didn't really know what it was. And boom! He just attacks, lashes out. But what he's really doing is protecting himself. Again, he's always a protector. And if you read the Quasar solo series, the thing everybody always talks about is when he was literally chained up and being tortured and being whipped for information, and he would not give up the information. He was being bled to death, and he wouldn't give up. Like that is just, he's got it. That's why people like this character. He's kind of lame. The concept isn't original. He's basically Green Lantern, Superman mixed together. But he transcended his premise. He became like his personality as a protector rather than an aggressor made him stand out, made him different, made him admirable. That's why I could see him and Ben Grimm are friends. I'm trying to think like Superman is a protector. To me, that's like he's more heroic. Like the Punisher is an aggressor. Ghost Rider is an aggressor. I would even say Spider-Man is more of an aggressor than a protector. But there's some superheroes that walk the line. But and it just makes him like the Patriarch to me is a protector rather than an aggressor. He wants to protect the city. He doesn't want to avenge anything. He doesn't want to punish. He's there to protect. He's the city as an outgrowth of his family, things like that. So there you go. Now he beats them. Thank heaven they're still alive. I'm truly sorry, ladies, but you're trying to destroy me, to destroy Project Pet. I couldn't let you do that. This is my world here. This is my life. So he's coming down from this psionic attack, and he's apologizing. That's why I like him. He's a good guy. You're having far too much fun. It's contagious. You might have to be quarantined. I know. We're not allowed to have fun in comic books. It's supposed to be attacking. It's supposed to be trash casting. It's supposed to be destroying. It's not about creating comics and loving comics. It's about hating other people and destroying comics. If you truly loved comics, you'd be cheering somebody else's success. And we'll leave it at that. Now, first we got this gum fighting ad that I irrationally hated as a kid. At this point, all my joy and love of comics would have been thrown out the window because this ad would have just, I don't know why, makes me nuts. Marcus, do you know who drew this? Is this anybody that we would know? Just curious. Marcus knows so much about comics. But this is why I love the lettuce pages. So we got Kurt Busiek. Okay. Who's Kurt Busiek? Kurt Busiek is a crazy person who blocked me not only on Twitter but also on Blue Sky because I didn't just tote the party line. I forget exactly what, but I was like, "Are you sure that that's what's happening? Didn't Trump do this because of this?" And but nope. But anyway, he's a professional comic book writer. He wrote one of my favorite comics of all time, and pretty much, if you take the comic Mr. X and then just take superheroes in general and merge it with Astro City, you get Heroic Tales. And Kurt Busiek and Brent Anderson and Alex Ross made made Astro City. How's that for a Freudian slip? So I love this. Proof is in the pudding. You could get mad at the guy over his antics. You could get mad at the guy over his politics, but you can't get mad at the guy. He is a comic book guy. He's a comic book guy. So I love that. So we got Camp Orlando, Stephen Allen Bennett, Thomas Owens. And little secret there, I steal a lot of secret identity names from letter pages. It's kind of like a little homage and maybe a little wink to somebody who's like, wait a minute, didn't that guy write a letter in Captain Adam 14? You know what I mean? Or I'd like to think that guy is still around and sees his name. You know, there you go. Oh, I don't know, but it's stippled. Did Stippling Vaughn draw this? Maybe Stippling Vaughn drew that. Oh, Genuine Comics. Keep it positive and fun to the comic book world. Zero sport you can get. Yay! I got money from the nether world. I got money from another dimension. So, Dave, when I ship out your comic, I will put one of these in there, okay? Because since you're in another dimension, the postage is probably more than the super chat. So just either remind me or I got to remind myself when Dave gets his comic, he is part of the Memphis Kings Fighting Society. And thank you so much. I got to get like a balloon or some cheery Monday morning madness nonsense for super chats. You know, I get a little uncomfortable, but you know what I mean? I also appreciate it at the same time. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Oh, we got Stan Lee over here. Look at this streamlined line of comics over here. Amazing Spider-Man, Avengers, Captain America. There's no fluff. There's absolutely no fluff. This is just streamlined excellence. Amazing Spider-Man, Avengers, Captain America, Conan, Daredevil, The Defenders, Doctor Strange, Fantastic Four, Battlestar Galactica, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, Marvel Tales. That's a reprint. Marvel, believe it or not, used to reprint titles from almost the beginning, taking old stuff because it was hard to get back issues back then. There was no online reading it. Marvel Team Up, Marvel 2-in-1, Master of Kung Fu, Micronauts, Power Man, Shogun Warriors, Spider-Woman, Spectacular Spider-Man. So look at this. So Spider-Man has 1, 2, 3, 4 comics, and then Spidey Super Stories, 5, Star Wars, Thor, What If, X-Men, and Fun and Games. That's not really compared to how does anybody know how many comics Marvel is publishing monthly right now? And are they even coming out monthly? Are comics still monthly? It's been so long since I got, regularly a Marvel or DC comic. Like I could see Image coming out whenever they want because they're not beholden to the newsstand anymore. Jeez, man. Early onset Alzheimer's is a thing. All right, so now, whoa, pound cakes. Get a load of Bobo Brazil's big brother. What kind of dialogue is that? What is that? Who speaks like that? Even in the grapplers. Whoa, I don't know who you mamas think you are, but you just did about $500,000 of equipment. So sue a schlump. Say, what's a G on your gut stand for? Garbage man? Woo. These are some deep cups from Pound Cake and Titana. That's pretty funny, chubs. I'm loving this. Now that I'm going to have a few laughs by putting the old squeeze on you two until the guards get here. Now you want to talk? Get your paws off me, you big jerk, before I bite your thumb off. So Pound Cakes just hits right in the old bread basket over here. That ain't no way to treat a lady, especially a lady wrestler. You should have aimed a little lower, Pound Cakes. Nah, I hate to see an overgrown man cry. That's such a fun page. That's such a fun page. It's a little bit of digs, references to clobber the guy in the nuts. You know, that's fun. That's fun. That's great. Well, we got it. We got diversity on this page. We got a black man. We got a lady over here. We got a lesbian over here. They're all just bashing each other unmercifully. It's great. So now Giant Man falls into the pit of certain death, because what good is a science lab without a pit of certain death? And what does he do? He grows larger and protects himself. His butt is going to get roasted off. A little bit of hot cross buns for the ladies over here. And he climbs out. Look, just crawled out of the hole. He's even bigger than when I tossed him in. Any idea? Oh, yeah, I hate to use them. But sometimes these little presents our employer gave us might come in handy. So a little bit of a cheat. They pull out these little rods that are like one-shot little power blasters. Bzow. You know, and what does Pound Cakes do? Nice going on. Little stomp to the Tootsies with my seismic boots, or to finish bringing this bozo down to size. So Pound Cakes, remember, her suit has elemental enhancement, so she's physically strong to begin with, the suit. And then she has these boots that are just like Gorgon. She can make like sonic stomps. Come on, we'll make a wish. We'll see who could yank out his arms first. Gotcha. So now they got one woman over here, one woman over here. And what does he do? You knew this was coming. My arms are going to go any second. Boom. A little bit of Pound Cakes to the head, a little bit of Titana to the head. Boom. Just awesome. Well choreographed. Now, at the risk of tooting my own horn, I sent Marcus Kelligrew in the a script for the public eye. And it's basically like two pages of meeting, 3 pages of fighting. You know, and I'd like, you know, I kind of choreographed the fight. And the funny thing is I lost track of one of the thugs. There was originally 4 thugs. And then I reread the script. I was like, Marcus, don't draw 4, draw 3, because I lost track of 1. But nobody knows that. Don't tell anybody I messed up. So that was, I don't want to say it was the first time, but it was there wasn't superpowers. There wasn't one guy flying and using telekinesis. It wasn't monsters with extended. It was a fist fight. And I kept thinking of Mike Baron, and I wanted to make Mike Baron happy. So I thought the fight out, you know, and I don't subscribe to the Mike Baron. People don't talk during a fight. People don't talk during a fight, but comic book people do, because look at this. There's a lot of, in the comic, he's talking up here, she's talking at it. There's time within the panel. There's time within the panel to talk, even when you're throwing a punch. So whatever. So, you know, Marcus is in the chat. He'll, you know, whatever. Did I choreograph the fight? But I love this well choreographed fight. Got a wasted panel, and George Perez is real clever. I don't know if this was written into the script, but it was Marvel style, so probably not. But what does George Perez do? He uses slice panels, meaning rectangles, to show you how quick time is going. Like this panel is huge because it is a lot of time. He's talking, he's reacting. She talks, he reacts. That's a lot of time. You know, just think about a conversation. Billy says something, Frank reacts to what Billy says, then Mary responds to that, and then, you know what I mean? That's time. That's 15, 20 seconds. So this is a huge panel. This is just quick little bursts of action. Slice, slice, slice. So good. So good. So good. All right, let's check out the comments. Eric Guapo says yes, but it was so long ago, I don't remember what he's saying yes to. It's wrestling dialogue. Yeah. That's why it's so fun. This page just makes me laugh. It's so good. I don't have Marvel on pull, but I get Action Comics and all the Spawn Top. They're all, oh, he's saying yes is monthly schedule. Okay. I get Action and Spawn. They're all still monthly. I gave Marvel a shot. I don't like them. I read the Thor Omni of Straczynski's work. Not a fan. In indie comics, it's okay if people talk during a fight. Every page is expensive. We need to. It's in regular comics. In comics, it's okay when they fight. Time, you know, I can see if you got the Badger squaring off against Joe Martial Arts. And Joe Martial Arts, this spinning and kicking and stuff like that, because martial arts fight is fast. Throw a punch, throw a kick, react. Boom, boom, boom. I would have caption. In that. I don't think I would have dialogue. But this is fine. This is fine. It's a comic book. Comic books are not reality. It's not supposed to be reality. I don't want it to be reality. Now, if I have the crime drama comic, it's just cops and robbers set in the real world, no superpowers. Maybe I'm not going to have a dialogue in a fist fight. You know what I mean? But I'm not saying Mike Barron's wrong. I'm not saying he's wrong. God, who the hell am I to say Mike Barron's wrong? But I listened to the criticism, and I just, maybe it's because I'm used to it, but I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal. Yes, and it is expensive. Are you ladies? Are you too skinny? Are you too skinny? Buy this stuff and it'll pack the weight on. 70s was a different time. Oh, I never told them what year this is. This is 1979. So back in 1979, the problem was skinny girls. Oh, to live in the past again. Guess that ain't the problem no more. And there we go. So now we cut back to Ben and Thundra. They're wrestling. So she tosses Ben. Ben gives her an uppercut. And I like this. Now, close the gaps. So she's in motion. Ben rolls over here and then comes up with a punch. Could your brain work that? Like it works. Boom, and his fist goes up. You just complete the circle of motion. The fist comes up, hits her right in the chin. Boom. And then over here, and I love this. We don't need no stinking backgrounds. We just need these crazy patterns because of the shock of the explosion. So he's right here. His other hand comes up. It's slipping out of the sling, and then we just rotate a little bit. So we got her back over here. So we rotate a little bit. Everybody's still in the matching positions, and it makes absolute sense. Over here, this kind of causes a little bit of a disconnect. So Ben should have been on the ground, and she should be facing the other way. Or am I wrong? Okay. Ben's head is over here. No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Yeah, I got confused. Okay, so it's fine. And now what is she doing? She's trying to rip his head off. Now look at all of this dialogue. But this is happening for a long time. Why must you struggle, Ben? In truth, when I first came from Femizonia to defeat Earth's mightiest male, I saw you merely as an adversary. But since then, I've come to realize that we are destined for each other. Yet you have continually spurned my advances, maintaining this hopeless love for that blind girl, Alicia. Why? Why can't you see that we are fated to be mates as she's ripping his head off? Owen Freud thing. Even my absence from the Baxter building these past weeks have done nothing to dim my feelings for you, as I hoped it would. I love you so much, I'm going to twist your head off. And if Thundra is not accustomed, well, she never said love. She just has a desire to mate with him. Thundra is not accustomed to being denied her wishes. If I may not have you, perhaps I should ensure that no woman ever shall. She ain't fooling me with that minor elf malarkey. She goes for me too much to ever do me in, but she just might break my neck anyway because she don't know her own strength. I'm going to go under her in a few seconds unless grab some debris. A little bit. He didn't have pocket sand. In the absence of pocket sand, debris will do. Get back at you, baby. This is for that rotten crack you made about me and Alicia. You couldn't shine her shoes, you blasted tomboy. Oh my God, tomboy. Are we allowed to say that anymore? If you wasn't so dumb, you'd see that there ain't no such thing as perfect mates. Love ain't something two people feel because they got matching muscles. There's a lot more to love, lady. Lots more. And while you're pondering that little pearl of wisdom, so she got stunned, and he just grabbed Ben, teaching her a lesson about love. A little bit of rock to the eye. Almost all of the hard and fast rules are meant to be broken in comics. Yes. They're all guidelines rather than rules. Thundra has a point. I wouldn't resist her. It would be futile. You couldn't. You don't have a rocky exterior heart. Ben is rock hard after all. What would Freud say? She's what the Japanese would consider a yandere character in anime. Could you elaborate on that? I don't know what that means. And did I say it right? And now we got Alice Cooper. Stan Soapbox. So this is literally Stan Lee writing directly to the reader. And I didn't read that as a kid. I read it now, but I didn't read it as a kid. And then this is just in-house news. How expensive? But this was a full page. Didn't garner any ad revenue or anything like that from Marvel or DC. But this was a page of text. Now, this is considered an ad, so I don't know how that. But they needed to have at least 2 pages in a comic book or a magazine to get postage rates. To ship the comic from the printers to the distributors and the distributors to the stores had to be shipped, and you could get a lower rate. You had to have text. I don't know how it qualifies with this ad over here, but it had to have 2 pages with no ad. 2 pages of text, no ad. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they just consider this art or whatever. So Hulk over here proving why he's less intelligent than the average bear is because fruit pies. Fruit pies are of the devil. And here we got them struggling. Let me see if this little Hef Nelson fits you like an order. You ain't the only one who knows any fancy wrestling moves. Oh, I used to watch Bruno San Martino art at the Garden before you was. I see that you're right there. We're not perfectly matched. For you possess all the fighting skills and finesse of a gorilla. Whoa! Now you went too far, sweet cheeks. Even my dainty Aunt Petunia never compared me to an ape, and she could made you look bad in a free-for-all. So I love this choreograph. He trips her. She's falling down. She grabs him in the head. Ah, nuts. Not the neck already. You stretch it 3 sizes. Now I got to buy all new shirts. All right, hold it. So look at this. They caught this compromising permission. I don't believe it. So now, you don't believe what? That a bunch of mere men could beat your grapplers? Well, sorry, Mama, but we did. And you beaten Thunder, all right. You're beaten Thunder. Are you all right, sir? Yeah, well, I'm swell. Well, somebody explain what's going on. So look at this. This is just like it's a fight over here. And then they just stop. Why? Because it wasn't a fight. They were basically wrestling and flirting with each other. That's foreplay to Thunder. I don't believe it. Come on, Thunder, spill it. What are you and your bathing beauties hoping to accomplish? I'm not sure of myself anymore, but I can say I'm no more interested in this mission with the pledge of silence. Let me guess. You got to be true to your word. Sheesh, what a revolting development. So Ben Grimm, he knows Thunder. He knows that she has this code of honor. The only way to get her to talk at this point is to torture her, and he ain't going to do it. So it's just like, okay, I'm not gonna torture her. And then we got this scientist over here who's just been, what is he? He's the MacGuffin. He's the MacGuffin. He's the object that gets the plot moving forward. So he's just been a rogue scientist. Just every issue he shows up for like a panel or two and causes problems. The all-important nth projector. Before the day is out, I should completely destroy Project Pegasus. So I must report to those I secretly serve, for I'm sure that they'll be pleased for the. So this guy is moving the plot forward, and that's really his only purpose. So part 5 of the Pegasus project. When walks wonder. And there we go. We got text, Navy pieces, Army pieces, Olympic prizes, and then a banana phone. Banana phone. Banana phone. How we saved the universe with our banana talkies and got back to tell about it with our banana compasses. There you go. Save the universe with banana phone. So let's check out the comments. She loves you in private but hates you in public. Oh, okay. That's what yonder means? Okay. I never heard that. Okay. I could see that being popular in Japan. Yeah, the letters page, yes. I didn't finish my thought. The letters page is 1 page of text, and then sometimes the letter page was 2 pages, and then that Stanley soapbox bulletins was another. Have they ever shown Aunt Petunia? Yes, they did during the John Byrne run, and I didn't quite like it. She was young and hot, and she was like basically like a female Reed Richards before Reed Richards. She was cool, she was sassy, I don't know. He kind of went against expectations, subverted expectations, but it was one of the things I didn't quite like about the Bird run. But and they never showed her again. Bring her back. They should really have like why doesn't she go to any of like when Ben got married? She should have showed up. It's his Aunt Petunia. But they said that it was Ben's uncle married a younger woman. That's why they explained that she was hot. But I always thought Aunt Petunia should have been like an old Jewish grandma. That would have been awesome. But and then Chili Storm, who was the frenemies of Millie the model in the early Marvel girl comics, model comics, she's been revealed to be Johnny Storm's cousin. So I just would like to have, like, why not a Fantastic Four family gathering, and Aunt Petunia shows up and Chili Storm shows up, bring out all of that content. But they won't do it because people today in comics don't know that, if you ask me. My sweet Aunt Petunia. Yes, Aunt Petunia should have been Aunt May's age, and they could team up. Here you go. May and Petunia. So there you go. This is the 5th. This is the 4th of the Project Pegasus. What do you guys think of this? I just think it's so much fun. The premise of Marvel 2-in-1 is the Thing teams up with somebody every week, and they really came up with a good way to do it. They have this mad scientist MacGuffin every episode. He just does something that causes a problem. But now there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. Like, why was Thundra tricked into doing this? What was she doing? It's not explained. Will it be pulled together? Will we get a satisfying conclusion? I think there's 2 more issues left. And then I think they revisit it every once in a while. So I'm pretty much done with the comic. It's an hour, almost an hour and a half. I'll keep talking as long as the chat keeps going. So there you go. Anybody have anything they want to bring up? Anybody? Bueller? I'm trying to think. I don't think there's much I could spoil. I think I've spoiled everything that I'm able to spoil. Oh, I didn't spoil this. I promised this earlier, and I found it. So if Crenshaw, are you still in the chat? Here is the Crenshaw cover. There you go. Ladies, start your drooling. Crenshaw as the patriarch. So this is the second, this will be the back to the Martina Marcota cover. Heroic Tales. I love that. Thank you, Crenshaw. I'll send you one of these for free, when they're ready. That's you got a t-shirt and a comic out of the deal. So there you go. When can we expect the MC? It's surprising that they didn't. You want to go girl boss? I wonder. I bet you, if they do a second series of She-Hulk, they'll have Thundra, and they can make her a raging feminist biatch, and it'll be in character. Although Thundra does have sweet moments. She acts like that, but she's the opposite of she's like Ben. She's soft on the inside too. But she's a crazy feminazi, literally a feminazi. But she's I think that's the reason why she's staying out of her world, is she kind of likes this world. To be honest, as a kid, it always creeped me out seeing Ben with Alicia. I mean, wouldn't he kill her during the act? Thus, thinking about Thus lays madness. Like, I always thought it was a chaste relationship. To be honest, it was like a relationship of just purity. Just like, this guy loves this woman loves him. We never knew why Alicia went blind. Like, as an adult, I keep thinking, like, was she born blind? Did she experience trauma? Was it illness? But I can't help but think as an adult that something happened to her and she feels safe with Ben. And they hug, they cuddle, they kiss, and it's more like that. And that's why Ben wants to be human again. In the few times that he turns back into Ben Grimm rather than the Thing, that's when it goes to a physical level. That's what I always thought. But as Ben Grimm, I don't want to get too graphic here, but I don't think him and Alicia would be compatible. That's just my way of thinking. And to me, it makes it more pure. It's just he loves her, she loves him, and it's not the perfect, but it is perfect for them because Thundra wants to make it physical, but so Ben has options, but he just found this person who accepts him flaws and all, and that's what he wants. It just makes it sweeter, makes it nicer. I never thought that they did, except when he turns into Ben, which is one of the reasons why he wants to be Ben. And one of the reasons why he's always breaking up with Alicia is he feels bad. He's like, I can't give you kids. You're never going to be a mother. You're never going to be the full woman that you should be. The whole female experience. And I'm selfish for keeping you here for selfish reasons. It just makes Ben that much more of a sweeter, nicer, softy, emotional, wonderful character that I love. So does that answer your question, Tony? Michael Hart, might the Femizons be the actual future in these times? Maybe that's why we got to fight. We got to fight for our right to party. So I'm curious. Lacey's the only woman that I know. What do you think? I'd be curious to get the female perspective to what I just said about Ben. I got nothing else to say. Other than 3D patriarch, 3D printed patriarch. Wonderful detail on this. I love this. I forgot to put it on the campaign page, and it's too late to put it in the campaign page. I got to stop. Oh, sorry. I got to turn off the extra camera and then put back the extra camera to get the focus. Okay. Relationships in comics rely a lot on off-panel privacy. If we think about the logistics too much, it gets really weird. Yeah. Not everything needs to be shown. Not everything. There's a lot to. That's why the X-Men works best, but we don't know. They're an allegory for the other. What is the other? You fill in the blanks. Because to say it's gay people or minorities or black people or trans people, to explicit, yes, it is all that, but to explicitly say it excludes everybody else in the name of inclusivity, that ironically excluding everybody else. The X-Men are the other. The X-Men are the other. The X is random. You fill in the blank. You fill in the variable. And let's face it, as a straight Christian heterosexual male, as a teenager, hormones are raging and you don't fit in and nobody understands me. And the X-Men represent me, the enemy. I am the apex predator as far as these critical race theory people think. But I identify with the X-Men because what person doesn't feel themselves as exactly, Eric LaGuapo. To explicitly explain stuff, I think diminishes things sometimes. Let's fill in the blanks. Let the people work. And I do think that the fans will work if it's worth the work. Women are deeper than just a need for sex. No pun. No. Don't read into that comment too much. But I know what you say. I'm making a joke. So what do you think? Are my comments about their relationship? What do you think? Good morning. Hey, what geeks do? There are also many ways to enjoy each other, and adoption is always an option. Yes. I do think. And if I was to write the Fantastic Four, given carte blanche to do like a 10-year, I don't know if I'd have 10 years of stories, but that's one of the things I would do is they would never, Ben Grimm never turns human. He stays the Thing. That's just, if Reed Richards hasn't cured it by now, he ain't gonna cure it. And they adopt kids. They have a whole menagerie of Skrull aliens. You know what I mean? And they just adopt, because Alicia doesn't care if the kid looks like her. And Ben doesn't want the kid to look like him. Yeah. Women need to feel loved, feel safe. Yeah, and she gets that from Ben. She gets that from Ben. Yep. I guess your logic works even with Superman and Lois. It's weird because Superman and Lois, I always feel they can get physical. He's Superman. He could, you know what I mean? He's super and a man. He and to me, Kryptonians have to be compatible with humans for my head logic. I could go deep into that rabbit hole about Kryptonians, and Logic's Finest is not here to correct me and argue with me. I'm so agreeing that she loves him for him and what he can. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Good. Thank you. Thanks for the backup. That's one of the things I love about Ben is he is, for all of his rocky exterior, he holds on to that which makes him human. Even that's why he's always talking about blue eyes. I'm the blue-eyed legend, because it's the only thing that hasn't transformed. It's the last vestige of his humanity. He even has 4 fingers and 4 toes. But his eyes are still. He's got the same eyes as Ben. Do you ever read the comic where Ben Grimm becomes the strongest character? No. What is that? Is it recent? Did I miss it? Is it a what if? Did he get supercharged within the Fantastic Four? So just let me know more details. So what do you guys think? So next week I'll continue with issue 57. It's $1, and I forget. That's not the end. I think it was 6 issues. I think next issue is the 5th. So, and there you go. So at this point, I normally tell you my schedule for the week. So let's check that out. What is my schedule for the week? As of right now, and keep in mind my schedule for the week evolves. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm hitting buttons. Okay. Monday, Tuesdays, I don't stream. I have game nights at my house. Wednesday, I have Emily Miller. That's Mark Miller's daughter. She's doing her debut on my channel, talking about her comics. And then I got to do a comic book team up. I don't have a guest. Usually, RJ and I kind of agreed, no more guests. We kind of just like talking comics, just him and I. So Wednesday at 8:30, we'll probably do comic book team up. Although 2 weeks ago, Michael Bancroft popped in. But you know what? Dave, pop in. I think that's what I'll do. I'll do a comic book team up and maybe put it. Whoever shows up in the chat, I'll invite people from the chat. Now, don't get offended if I don't invite you, but it's RJ. I don't want to throw somebody in and then RJ's uncomfortable. So if I feel it'll be a good guest. Thursday rather, 7 p.m. I got John Dexter talking about Dime Store Detective. Such a good comic. I think it's one of the best, if not the best written comic on crowdfunding that I've read, obviously. And then, I got work to do. Adam Lawson is going to be on Friday at 6 p.m. And he wants to talk about the top 10 greatest comic books. So he wants me to comment on his top 10 greatest comics. And then I was like, okay, I'll do that. And he's like, no, you provide your list too. And I haven't. So that's another thing I got to do. I got to come up with my top 10 comic books. And it's going to be personal. It's going to be my top 10 personal favorites. It's not going to be what I think is the most important comics of all time. That's a whole nother list. So I'm going to do my top 10 favorite comics or runs of comics. It'll be vastly different than his. And then 8:30, we'll be doing comic book team up, and it'll be Darkseid versus Thanos. And that's all. So I do have a full schedule. I have a full schedule this week. Keep in mind, with overtime, things may or may not change. So there you go. I didn't realize I skipped. Oh, man, pressure's on. I'm under the gun. I don't work well under the pressure. Actually, I work best under pressure. What am I talking about? If you give me infinite time, I will wait to the last minute. Eric the Guapo. His rock skin was essentially an incubator where he could grow. Then shed the skin was an energy type, being able to manipulate. Wow. Where is this? I never heard this. Is this like a regular Marvel? I don't know anything about this. Have you ever read Wallywood's Man of Steel, Woman of Tissue? Yes, I read that, and I read that. Basically, it's talking about how Superman would kill a woman in the act of sex. But I disagree, because Superman has total control of everything. Superman has total control of even the involuntary responses of his body. Superman can control his breathing. Superman can control his heart rate. Superman control, every so Wallywood would say, in the moment of passion, the release, it would act like a shotgun and kill Lois Lane. Boom. And then the cells that would release would fly around, each having super and destroy it and seeking out other women. And, no. Superman has total control of his body. Superman could will himself to sleep. Superman could hear while he's sleeping. Superman doesn't need to sleep. Superman, you know what I mean? He has total. Superman doesn't have to go to the bathroom unless Superman wants to go to the bathroom. Things like that. So Superman can control every aspect of his body. I don't remember what the story is called. It's been over a year since I don't even. Okay, Eric, I'm really curious about this. I'd like to know. Do I have it and not read it yet? So if you find out, if you remember, just shoot me an email or a comment in the future. But just remind me what we're talking about. Howdy, Ben Sabar, who sent me a really nice email the other day that I still haven't really addressed yet. So there you go. I'd kind of like to talk for the anal retentiveness in me. I would like to talk for around 2 hours, so we got a couple of minutes. But I will also stop, because I'm not going to just sit here and stare at the camera. Although that would be fun. How long can I just turn on the camera and stare at it before people just tune out? Will do. Cool. Thank you. So there you go. Anything else? Anything you want to talk about? Bueller, anything you want to say? Any questions you want to get asked? I'll give a 30-second counter, and if nobody says anything, we will shut things down. This is a lot of fun. This and It's Clobbering Time are my two favorite things to do. Wow, we got 64 people watching. Oh, man. Lacey, remember when it was just me, you, and Abrax, and maybe Pete? Oh, man, 64 people. Everybody, shout out. Everybody, shout out. Everybody, super chat. Everybody, like and subscribe. All the YouTube stuff that I always forget to say. I'll give a quick little rundown of everything I'm working on. So right now, I'm working on a script with Stippling Vaughn. He's going to be doing The Printer's Devil, which is set in Revolutionary War America. Actually, it's post-Revolutionary War America. It's set during the last days of the Articles of Confession. The Articles of Confession. The Articles of Confederation. The reason that's just take it because I'm just trying to get I'm trying not to have anachronisms, and I'm second guessing myself. I just need to write it, get the story done, and then have the art done, and then go over the dialogue and things like that. Once I'm looking at the art, that's what I need to do. I need to, as my father would say, shit or get off the pot. It's time to shit. Okay, so that's being worked on. DC Miller, he was just like, he's doing his own comic right now, and he's just like, I hit a rough patch. I want to work on something else. So give me a short script for Bikini Girl. Bikini Girl being one of the main female characters in the imaginary, as opposed to real, the imaginary top comics. So he's already working on the cover. He's already working on the logo, because I told him what to do for the cover, and I gave him a rundown of the script, but I'm gonna write it now. That one's easy because it's supposed to be set in Silver Age. Actually, this is Golden Age DC. So I don't care about the anachronisms. You know what I mean? Like Gardner Fox didn't care about that stuff. So that's going to be easy. I'll bang that out tonight, and then tomorrow I'll read it over, make sure it makes sense. But one of the great things is, as long as the visuals and the stories make sense, I can work on the dialogue and the caption boxes after the art is done. That's where I do most of my corrections. Marcus he's got a script for The Public Eye. Renzo is finishing up the Patriarch story for Heroic Tales #2. I got Luke working on the Sleeper Agent. So I think maybe Marcus's public eye and Luke's sleeper agent might be like Heroic Tales Special Edition, or because I want number 3 to be a follow up to Mary Sue and the Raven. So maybe they'll be Heroic Tales number 4. I don't know. We'll see. Whatever that is, it is. And then Renzo is working on a secret project. It blends mythology and history. That's all I'm saying. And I got Tonic Ball and Oscar are working on Eddie is Doomed. So that's all the stuff that I'm working on. There you go. Okay. Yeah, this is impressive. What's impressive? The number of people watching. Yes. Oh, I think it was the Ultimate Universe. Oh, okay. That's why I missed it then. That's why I missed it. I didn't get any of the Ultimate. Ultimates Disassembled was the comic series. Don't remember the issue number, but it was latest around issue 20. Okay. Yeah. For those of you who don't know what Eric's talking about, was Marvel created the Ultimate Universe. It was the next universe over, and it was different variations of them. I didn't get any of that. I don't mind when there's a story and they go to an alternate universe and there's different versions and but I don't want to read. I want to read mainstream Marvel, mainstream DC told well. I don't want there to be mainstream. Like, I'm not reading any of the absolute stuff. I'm sure it's good. Sure you love it. That's fine. But it just bothers my insanity. I want one Batman, and I want that Batman to be good. Because a Batman who works for the carnival, he's blonde-haired, violent, axe-wielding, poor guy is not Batman. Make a new character. That's the way I look at it. But anyway, but the Ultimates was really good. Mark Miller writing it, and Paul Neary, Alan Davis, Paul Neary artwork was spectacular. But I don't know, and that's why I can't get into DC. They just every 5 years they restart their continuity, and it just makes why bother, Lovecraftian gods versus the Olympian gods. It already happened. It was called Typhon versus the Olympians. It happened in continuity in Greek lore. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But that is a good one. So there you go. All right. Anybody else? Anybody? Bueller? I don't want to filibuster for 12 minutes. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. This has been... Oh, we got another comment. I hate the DC reboots too. Yeah, it just makes me feel like it makes me feel like nothing matters. Now, we all know Spider-Man's not going to die. We all know Batman's not going to die. But I want there to be like, I don't know. I just like continuity. I like continuity. They need to get rid of their multiverse and fudge everything again. I heard that they were bringing everything back in DC. Like there's going to be Earth S and Earth 2 again. I don't know. I'm out of the loop. DC had a good 60-year before they... Yes, and I love Crisis. I absolutely love Crisis. But in retrospect, it did what it was set out to do. It increased sales of DC. It failed what it set out to do, and it didn't make it streamlined. It's just as confusing as it was before. This was fun. Thank you. I enjoy this. This is fun for me. If I come home in a bad mood from work, yes, I do have bad moods. I'm a normal guy. My wife goes, "Why don't you go stream?" Because it always puts me in a good mood, And I like to think that my viewers are in a good mood afterwards. I don't want you to think that everything's rosy and there's room for criticism. I've spoken how I didn't like ISOM. I talk about how I don't like cable. These days, the cable stuff is mostly people just poking me for fun. But it's the dwelling and constant negativity. Talking about I don't know, the new Heather Swain comic by Ethan Van Scarf just looks like garbage. Hey, I said it. It looks bad, looks terrible. But I'm not going to go for the next 14 weeks talking about it. That's why Zach, your boy Zach, as much as I love Zach, I stopped watching him. I didn't subscribe to Zach to listen to him talking about how the Critical Drinker is. They sound like a couple that broke up, or it sounds like Zach is in love with the Critical Drinker, and Critical Drinker's like, dude, no, I'm straight. and now he's just a spurred love. Like, that's what it sounds like. Just knock it off. You criticized, you said your piece, move on. Once in a while when somebody brings it up, it's okay. But the constant harping on stuff, it drains my battery, drains my emotional battery. But this time, don't go back into multiverses. You know, I liked Earth 1, Earth 2. You know, it was charming, but I don't know. The infinite this is like me harping on it, but the infinite universe just means no. Like, I don't like the way the MCU is doing it. I don't mind if it's complicated. If the universes are different and have their own unique flavors and sort of, that's fine. So like the ultimate universe didn't bother me as much as now the MCU multiverse concept, because nobody was going to mistake the ultimate Hulk for this Hulk, you know. But I don't know. I feel like I'm being hypocritical, but like, I liked Earth 1 and Earth 2. They were different, and they arose organically. There was a reason why they, you know, it made sense, and they didn't need to change it. It's funny because now everybody and their grandmother understands the multiverse, but at the time they thought it was too confusing. DC has converged the universe in the past few. They go back to the multiverse. It just sounds. I know. I'm never going back to mainstream comics. You can never recapture the moments I grew up. Yeah, like I said, I have fond memories of a lot of ex-girlfriends. I'm not going to call them up. You know, we broke up for a reason. You know, irreconcilable differences. We'll leave it at that. I still can't get into the Rippaverse. That's fine. I got Alpha Core. I liked it. Wasn't the greatest. I got ISOM 1 and ISOM 2. I just didn't like it. My main problem was it was too much too fast. Literally my original script for Heroic Tales was ISOM number 1. 50 characters. Everybody talking about this, and nobody cared about anything. So I went right to the patriarch. Did it work? I like to think so. Maybe I zoomed in too much. I think that's my main criticism. But you know, I thought ISOM 2 would fix it. Other people like it though. That's great. They like it. Good for them. I'm glad that they like it. I'm glad it's successful. Now what is Ripper doing? Now he's doing Yellow Flash's comic, shipping that, publishing that, you know, printing that. Awesome. He is evolving into what I would like there to be, an indie crowdfunding printing company. Oh my God. You know, I don't know if maybe I could have Heroic Tales go through Rippersend, and he prints it all and does all my formatting and all of that stuff. Man, wouldn't that be awesome? So I'm rooting for it. That's what I wanted. I actually joked around with Yellow Flash, but it's many truth said in jest. Did I put that bug in Eric July's ear when he was on my channel? You know, and just need a little bit of this. FNT as the better community. A Friday Night Tights is. I never listened to it. Somebody on Twitter send me a link. I hardly ever see the invite, and it's been listening for years. I've never listened to it. I keep hearing FNT, and I keep my YouTube and Twitter circle purposely small. I steer away from the CG for the most part. It's gossip film. Yep. It's not about comics. That's why I started saying it's about comics. You know, unfortunately, it's about power and control. That's what it's about. It's bad energy. Their love is like bad medicine, but bad medicine is not what I need, contrary to Bon Jovi. I missed the original Earth 2 because it gave the original characters an unaltered place to be with you. Yes. And it arose organically. It started out, Earth 1 was really the original. It always bothered me. But I mean, Earth 2 was the original. And they got older and they changed and then they interacted and it was fine. It was good. It arose naturally, you know, and then comics died out. They brought back superhero comics too with it, you know, and it worked. There you go. But it wasn't just like, I want to make it with this black Superman because I'm, identity. It wasn't based on identity politics. That's it. I think that's it. Multiverses could work if it's not based on identity politics. I didn't like I so much, but I really like Bloodroof, Althacart, and Yarrow. Yeah, good. I got Goodying, and it's lost in this because my parents sent me a copy. So it's lost in my pile. I got to read it. My buddy likes Horseman, so maybe I'll pick up Horseman 1 and 2 because who doesn't like a good Chuck Dixon violent vigilante comic? Honestly, I feel like reading old school comics, especially these, you got me. Rippaverse is growing. They don't drive into Dom. You're right. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Nobody bothers me anymore. Nobody bothers me anymore. Am I a big wig? Absolutely not. Am I a small wig? Yes, I am. But nobody bothers me anymore. I got drawn into it. A couple of people would mention me just to get me involved in drama, and I ignored it. A couple of people, I removed myself from conversations, and they talked about me doing exactly that. But nobody bothers me anymore. Just don't. Don't feed the drama, people. I got a buddy. I'm not mentioning names, but I'm sure everybody can figure out who I'm talking about. You mention his name anywhere on the internet, and he shows up and starts fighting with you. And then they laugh at him, and they cut, and they talk about him. And then they got people watching the drama. And I told him a few times, just ignore it. Focus on your work. You're super talented. Focus on your work. Put out good product and ignore them. And they will move on. They will move on. They will leave. They'll stop. Oh, but when I got to defend, I was defending myself. And they don't care. They're not looking for the truth. They're not looking for reason. They're looking for outrage. Ignore them. Ignore them. And they leave you alone. They leave, and we all know who I'm talking about. But he gets mad when I say that, but it's out of love. It's you're my buddy. Please. I listened to Friday Night Tights a few times. They have fun where they talk about stuff I'm not interested in most. I got to check it out. You okay? I thought it was Go Green. Horseman. I forgot about that book. I gotta check it out. Not really into the Frog Fathers comics either. Would you? I had him on. We got along great. He invited me on his channel. We got along great until I transgressed the broken law. I disagreed with him publicly. He said, "Who's ready for a trash cast this Friday night?" And maybe I shouldn't have said it. But I was like, God, no, it's Friday night. I said, I could think of a million things I would rather do than talk about comics that I don't like. And that was it. Next thing you know, he's reading my public private DMs, which weren't that bad. And I'm the bad guy. Because I didn't toe the party line. How do you say that? Ula Femi. I expect you. Thank you. I just feel I don't want to do it. I feel dirty. And every once in a while, I got to stop because every once in a while I get drawn into a political argument. It has nothing to do with Comicsgate or Rippaverse or anything like that. And then I feel dirty afterwards. If you don't like Trump, me arguing for Trump ain't going to change your mind. These people don't like Trump. And you know what? To be honest, I'm so it doesn't matter what I'm sure he did something good, but I'm not gonna like him. I'll leave that comment unedited. Exactly, John. Ignore the grasshoppers and the grasshoppers. Ignore the grasshopper in my stone, in my pebble, in my. Ignore the gossipers and trolls. They will get disinterested eventually. Yeah, they'll move on. They don't talk about me anymore. Not that I was ever the biggest guy in the world to talk about, but they leave me alone. You want to talk about me? Spell my name right. That's it. Say whatever you want. There was 2 guys that said things that really, really bothered me. And I realized reacting to what they said would only amplify what they said. And they both don't say anything to me anymore because had I reacted, they said the worst possible thing to get a reaction, and it almost worked. But I bit the bullet, ignored them, and they don't And I don't blame the guy that I'm talking about because they said awful things about him. They said awful, awful things about him. But they're manipulating him like a puppet. Yeah, I saw they were going after Razor Fist now. I'm like, really? Used to be an ally, and now I see. Here's a little secret. I didn't know who Yellow Flash was until he made a comment. I heard the name before because your boy Zach would mention it before. He came on my channel. I didn't even know that he didn't show his face. I was like, oh, you're not going to turn your camera on? But he has a comic book, and I do comic book stuff. So, so Razor Fist, is he a comic book personality? I heard the name before, but I don't watch. That's why Friday Night Tights, I don't watch a lot of YouTube. I don't watch a lot of YouTube like this. And then after this, I kind of eat, and then I listen to Stippling Vaughn when he does his little art from the bar on Sunday mornings. I listen to that. I listen to Dave Brink for Genuine Comics. I listen to RJ, and that's about it. That's about it. A Horace H. Hoover, Fabrizio Aiello will do like a draw stream, and I listen to that if I'm not doing something with my wife. Usually does it on Sundays. Brian Bow doesn't really do live streams, but he'll put out like a critique video. I love that. I love things like that. I listen to the art videos from Robert Geronimo, who does Blood. I love those. He talks about the history of art. He's an art professor. He does why is the name of the comic? But he's alternate comics. He does Blood Realms. He does Blood Realms. Good comic. And I love what he talks about, like the history of real art. Fascinating. But other than that, I don't watch a lot of YouTube. So I don't know a lot of these people's names. When I get invited on streams, a lot of people I don't know who they are, and I just talk. I'm getting real hungry. You're a man of principle. Thank you. I try. G&G regularly gets more viewers than that guy. Oh, how the tables have turned. I don't even know who G&G Jeremy is. Is that Razor Fist? 2000s AD Slane versus Conan. Oh, you talking about it's clobbering time? Razor Fist is a pop culture commentary, but put out a comic book, Ghost of the Badlands, which received critical. I never even heard of Ghost of the Badlands. Is it good? Would you mind sending me a link to where I could check it out on a? I don't claim to know everything about comics, and I don't claim to know everything about comics that are coming out. Gossipers just look for the next person they can socially destroy. They usually try to gaslight you, and if you confront them on it, then they accuse you. You said it. You said it. They're like a mousetrap. Except instead of using cheese, they use shit. So why am I going to react to shit? I stay away mostly days. Comics are fun and much more fun. Yeah, a lot of these drama streams. I got two bad reviews. One of them, we worked it out from a person that is controversial. I'll leave it at that. We worked it out. She and I worked it out. Another person is controversial. We didn't work it out. And I actively avoid this person because I don't want to get involved with the person who does OnlyFans and stuff like that. It's not my thing. I remove myself from the conversation. But I said, thank you for the review. The next issue is going to be better. You know what I mean? Because this person's going to be like, oh, you look, he's actively avoiding me. So I just suck it up. But told her fans, like, my comic sucks, boring, whatever. But her fans aren't going to buy comics. They're fans of boobs. So say whatever you want. Really doesn't matter. Yeah, YouTube rots your brain. In fact, Rumble is taking over. I think about starting it too. Yeah, should I do Rumble? Should I do Rumble? What do you guys think? Should I do? It'll just be the same thing, but over on Rumble. Like, maybe I could do them both at the same time. I don't know. Maybe I should start a Rumble channel. I don't know. I've been hearing a lot about that. Robert Geronimo's awesome. Blood Realms, good book. I love. Yeah. There you go. And such a positive guy. The alternate guys have been nothing but wonderful to me. I met Fabrizio Aiello. I met Brian Bao. Josh Howard, Robert Geronimo. I have a lot of emotional love for that comic book company. Razorfist also loves pulp and the many videos about the Shadow. Cool. See, I didn't know this. I heard the name before, but I literally have not watched a second. I love how he uses black and red. Yeah, it was originally black and white, and I think Pete Sametti suggested also red, and it worked. Ghost of Badlight is actually on Amazon. Oh, okay, cool. Hey, Logic's finest. People tend to make opinions based on what they hear from someone else that they like. Then they continue this nonsense without factual information. Yes, I agree. 100% I agree. 100%. Very rarely will people change their minds. Even when presented with accurate data, very rarely will people change their mind. And I'm just as guilty as that as everybody else. I'm trying to think. I'm sure it's more, but I without thinking, I could think of like 5, maybe up to 10 things that changed my mind in the past. And I'm not going to go through the list because some of them are personal. But you know what I mean? The average person doesn't change their mind. They make a decision, and what is it? The sunken cost fallacy. Jimmy Palmiotti is not going to admit that the Democrats are wrong. He's got so much of his personality invested. It's like Sauron put so much of his malice and cruelty into the ring. He needs the ring. And if the ring gets destroyed, he's destroyed. That's how a lot of people are about their opinions. They put so much of their passion and whatever flawed thinking into that, myself included, that they're not going to change their mind because it will destroy them. They need, but sometimes you need to be destroyed, like in a positive sense, like tarot card, death is also the new beginning. Sometimes you need to die and be reborn. How's this for philosophy? Logic, you got me monologuing. You sly dog, you got me monologuing. Alternate is great. I agree. What do you think about Pete Sametti wanting to become a print? I'm very curious. I'm apprehensively, cautiously curious. Does he actually think he's going to be able to print these comics? Because it cost me $1.87 to make comics of Comics Wellspring, to fold and cut and do all this stuff. Is it really worth time? I got better things to do than do that. But I'm rooting for him. I want him to succeed. And if he could become my printer of choice and make some cool looking newsprint comics, you better believe it. I'm going to go with it because I know the guy. You know what I mean? I know the guy, made in America. So I'm rooting for him. I'm cautiously optimistic. Alternate is awesome. I agree. Can't wait for thanks first Dark Side. Even Dark Side is polite and says thanks. So thanks wins. People tend to make emotional opinions. Absolutely. When they're presented with factual information, they tend to double down more than admit they're wrong. Absolutely. I try to do the opposite of what you said. I try, but I'm a flawed human being. Good morning, gang. How you doing, Zaid? How's everything? Sup? Hey, Phil, I haven't read your comic yet, but it looks awesome. Phil gets it. When he was introducing me he was on my channel or I was on his channel. I think he was on my channel because he was pushing his comics, and when I go to his channel, I push my comics. So he was talking about his characters, and I freaking love. I haven't read any of his stuff yet. Whereas Dave Brink, I love all of his characters because I read them. Phil, I got them all. They're right here. They're right there. I love the names of his characters. I think he gets it. I'll give you more confirmation once I read. That's how the silly pocketbook crap got started. One weirdo called it that, and everyone picked it up. Oh, Lacey's ready to fight. She's ready to fight. I'm going to use Pete's service. Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that's a logical stance. Logic finest, back me up. Is that a logical stance? I'm rooting for him, but the proof is in the pudding. I'm also happy with the Comics Wellspring. For those of you who got my comic, what do you think? Was the printing good? So the customer service was awesome, and the product was awesome. So, It's a business, nothing personal. I want Pete to succeed. See, this is how you do it. Pete's been on my channel. I've been on his channel. He's been nothing but nice to me. He has a good track record. I want him to succeed. Now, I'm not going to put all of my eggs in my one basket until I see the proof. I do think it would be cool to get little mini comics of heroic tales, you know, as a fun thing. So I'll probably back at that level, but we'll see. We'll see. I think his heart's in the right place. If he succeeds, it's going to be awesome. So I am cautiously optimistic. And again, personal preference is not criticism. Absolutely. People who got those two confused constantly. Absolutely. Your opinion, ask for what you like, is not criticism. Absolutely. Good comments. Based. Phil is an underrated gem of indie comics. I like Phil personally. I like him. He's been on my channel. Good guy. I got his comics. I got to read them. Maybe I'll hate them. I doubt it. But, you know. And if I don't read more into this than I'm saying, I'm just making a comment. Okay. I'll just say Phil Moskowitz, made-up character he's my go-to made-up character name. Phil Moskowitz on my channel. He's a great guy. We get along. I buy his comics, and his comics are awful. You know what? He was a good guy, but I'm not going to slam their comics. I'm not a review channel, and I'm not a trash cast. But I'm sure Zaid Comics is going to be awesome. The people. What a great I'm so mad. I'm mad in a good way. The Silhouette is one of the best. That's a great name. I actually have an NPC named the Silhouette, but I never used her for heroic tales. I probably won't, because there's a character in the Watchmen named the Silhouette. I'm so afraid of people calling, "Oh, you're a hack. You just ripping off other people." Like the Raven doesn't bother me because there's so many different Ravens that one more won't matter. Raven being my Batman type character who's going to debut in Heroic Tales 3. But there's other names that I don't use because, you know, there's other characters. I went through a whole agonizing process. It cost me like $400 because I got a logo printed up of a new character. I got a poster printed up of the replacement character. But I'm going back to the Raven, but the character that I made up to replace the Raven will actually be a Raven foe. So it'll be a little bit of like he's going to actively try to replace the Raven in his own territory. So those, I'll probably put it like an editorial in the letters page of that particular issue. You know, the Patriarch was great printing. Yeah, thank you, because the art and the coloring, you know. But Zaid, Phil, where are your comics printed? God forbid someone challenge the status quo. People will attack you for doing something different and having success. Nobody's. Oh, are we talking about Pete Smetty? Is anybody attacking him? Is that what you talked about? Forgive me if I misconstrued your comment, or you talked about just comics in general. A little bit more detail, logic before I could comment on what you said. Unlike the average person, I'd like to get a little bit more information before I start yelling and screaming. Wow, I was ready to sign off, and now everybody's talking. The comments are awesome. I'll stay on all day if the comments are going to be like this. Zaid, okay. Any thanks, boys. Can't wait to hear what you think of the book. I can't wait to read them. I tried to read 5 comics a day. That's my go-to. Right now, as you can see, I got the bookmark I was reading before. I'm on the last issue of Something Big by Chuck Dixon. This is my favorite. Depending, maybe I got this much left. Maybe this much sucks and it'll ruin it. I doubt it. But as of right now, this is my favorite thing Chuck Dixon has ever wrote. And it's not superheroes. It's post-apocalyptic alien invasion heist. None of those things are my cup of tea. I mean, alien invasion is, and it is awesome. Why is it awesome? Good writing. Good writing transcends premise. I print through Mixam all in. Oh, really? Mixam is in the United States? Why did I think Mixam was China? I got some bad information. And I had an opinion, and now I'm presented with facts. Now I'm, you know what? I'm gonna. No, you're wrong. I'm gonna be emotional and say no. It's printed in China. You Nazi. How's that? Am I doing it right there? His comics are printed on my anus. I have to go. It's Mother's Day. Yes, Mother's Day. I understand if you got 72 people watching. Any character that can fly or has any of Superman powers is a copy of Superman. Okay, I mean, I'll buy it. There's an argument to be made. However, we all like that. People are hypocritical when they say a character is a copy. Yeah, okay, I'll buy it. I'll buy it. Yeah, I mean, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby said they wanted a Superman for Marvel, and they made Thor. Yeah, any superhero. I'm going to go on a record and say not just flying. Any superhero is derivative of Superman. Any superhero, and Superman is derivative of Gladiator and Doc Savage. The Shadow is a derivative of did I say the Shadow? Batman is a derivative of the Shadow, and the Shadow is a derivative of the Scarlet Pimpernel. Everything's a derivative. Everything's a derivative. Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is derivative of the Lensman and Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. Star Trek, everything. Yeah. Don't judge your success by others. Yeah, I do. I got to get my money up. I made 8,000 on the first issue, and I made 3,000 on the second issue. Granted, I didn't launch on Kickstarter yet, but I mean, I don't think I'm gonna do. I made 1,000 on Kickstarter, so I'm trying to. I'm rounding off. I got 300 backers for issue 1. I would like to get 301 backers. I'm at 102. So spread the word. Spread the word. And then I got a bunch of backers in person, but spread the word. So that's my measure of success. Can I afford to make the next issue? Because I had no illusions about profit yet. I'd like to get like 6 or 7 comics down, and then maybe like do trade paperbacks on Amazon or comic book stores. I don't know what to do. My comic stores we got to wait to see how this Diamond Distributors things lands. There's a lot to think about. So right now I'm just concentrating on what I'm doing. Mixim is a UK broker that works with printers all over the globe. They usually get you a printer close to where you can request their books. Oh, okay. There you go. So maybe somebody was right. I don't know. As the Bible says, there's nothing new under the sun. I think, Magneto equals Superman in a certain way. The costume, the colors. I already saw this. Isn't the Batman's first story straight up rip-off of the Shadow? Is it? I never read any Shadow, except for comics. I never read the Shadow pulps. I got to get the first one. I got to get the first Shadow story to read it. Nothing new under the sun. Yes, sir. Creation inspire others. It's in the differentiation that matters. What can you as the next creator add to your derived character? Yeah. I mean, I just said at this very stream that Kurt Busiek's Astro City is a big inspiration on my comic heroic tales. Now let's focus on Astro City for a second. Astro City is derivative of Marvel and DC characters. Issue 1 was all about the Samaritan who protects Astro City. Samaritan is a blatant ripoff of Superman. Now, it's an homage to Superman. I say ripoff is when there's not respect or talent, or I just don't like it. But homage is when it's done with love and affection. Kurt Busiek, for all of our philosophical and political disagreements, loves comic books, and he's a phenomenal writer. I respect the art. I respect the person too. I just don't respect the way he is a crybaby when it comes to people who disagree with him politically. That whole, there's Democrats that I don't like. I work with them. They're in my family. We sit at the same dinner table. You know what I mean? Because I'm a freaking grown up. But anyway, I digress. But Astro City is a homage, a ripoff, a facsimile, a copy of other comics. Their first family is the Fantastic Four. He has literal homages, ripoffs, spin-offs, whatever, of all existing superheroes. So Astro City is basically Marvel and DC smushed together into the same universe, and it's a big inspiration on Heroic Tales. That's what I was going for. Was this is about this character? This is about this character. This is about this character. You know, but I think I could get away with it if my comics came out monthly. You know, you wouldn't have to wait, but but all the months in between, people want consistency between comics, and I gotta respond to that. Where am I? I know you don't do it for money. I would like to do it for money. Don't get me wrong. I would like to do it for money, but I'm not doing it for money yet. I'm doing it because I love the medium. I would love to do it for money. Even if it's just $1, I'd love for it to pay for itself. But I'm curious to know if you make a profit on your books. No, I don't. The first comic cost me about $8,000. Me personally. Actually, it cost, I think, a little bit more because there were some people that I hired that I shouldn't have hired. There's processes that I didn't understand. I had to redo things. And I made $8,000. That $8,000 is going into Heroic Tales 2. Now, the saving grace is Heroic Tales 2 is not costing $8,000. So I have a little bit of leftover for Heroic Tales 3. But Heroic Tales 3, now I have $3,000. So each issue, I'm getting less and less funds to play. So I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to start laying out money again for if I want to make Heroic Tales 4. You know what I mean? So I would like to... and I'm also thinking long term. Like if I get 6 issues, can I make a trade paperback? And then offer deals, and then people buy the trade, because at that point the trade paperback, all the work and labor is paid for. Just printing and shipping. And if I do that through like Critical Blast or Amazon, maybe go to conventions. I would love to go to conventions, but I don't want to go to conventions with just one comic. I'd like to go to conventions like 2-3 comics. Loved Astro City. Me too. Such a good comic. My wife calling, driving back from it. Yeah, I understand it's Mother's Day. If you got to leave, you got to leave. It's your mom. As Mr. T said, good to your mom. Putting aside the evil, I think Viltrumites are Kryptonians. All the strengths, some of the weaknesses, and they live for 1,000 years, can mate with any species. Yes. I talked before, if Kryptonians can't mate with humans, which they can, then there's no point to the Kryptonians. There's no point to the Kryptonians looking like that. The Kryptonians have to be related to humanity. Otherwise, they shouldn't look like that. The way we think evolution and species and stuff like that. Right. The Viltrumites are weaker than Kryptonians because the Viltrumites just have physical powers and then flight, whereas the Kryptonians have the senses and the heat visions and the X-ray vision, stuff like that. So I think the in a straight up fight, that is a great. Maybe I'll stop talking right now and save that for It's Clobbering Time. Thank you, Logic. Remind me. Send me a message. Remind me. We'll talk about Viltrumites versus Kryptonians. There you go. Thank you. I'm going to stop talking. Save it all for It's Clobbering Time. Got to head to work. Have a great day. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you, What Geeks Do. Thank you. Politics should not divide friends. Yep, that's what farts are for. Kirkman added the myth and he made his own Kryptonians with it. Yes, he did. He did a really good job. I'm a unabashed Robert Kirkman fanboy, with the exception of Battle Pope, which I thought was just disrespectful, edgy, first year college. I'm going to bash on Christianity comic. I'm a big fan of Kirkman. I never read Astro City. I might get it. Is that the comic with Astro Boy? No. Astro Boy is a Japanese manga. Astro City is it started out, I think it started out under a DC imprint, and then it went to Image. But yeah, Astro City is absolutely great. It's such a good comic. It is a comic book for fans of comic books. Yeah, I really like it. What's a better ending for Superman? Whatever happens to Man of Tomorrow, All-Star, Superman, or Kingdom Come? You know what? I'm not a fan of, like, Superman is immortal and lives like a million years in the future, Superman's still there. I don't like that. That I don't want super God. I want Superman. So I think Kingdom Come is my favorite. I like that's the one I reference all the time. Whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow was not an ending. That was just a trap. That was exactly what it was. It was a Batman. It was a Superman annual, but written by, you know. So I don't consider that an ending, and I love that because that was the last temptation of Christ, but for Superman. You know, I know I'll catch hell for saying that I like the last temptation of Christ. It's movie's okay, phenomenal book. It's a pro-Christian book, despite all the hoopla about it. All-Star Superman. I liked All-Star Superman because I just liked all that majestic Silver Age wonder and wistfulness. Is that the right word? Whimsy. I hated all that stuff when I was a teenager and a young adult, but now I love it now. But Kingdom Come, I like because I love the conclusion that Superman is the father figure for all the superheroes, and without a strong father figure, you become a brat, and that's what happened. And also, that comic is a direct inspiration on my character, the Patriarch. Kryptonians don't get stronger. Viltrumites get stronger after a fight that causes me. Kryptonians get stronger if you read Kingdom Come, and now we could argue whether or not that's canon or not, but Superman was more powerful in Kingdom Come because his body's been absorbing more and more solar radiation. I'd like to think that at some point he breaks down, just like a star breaks down. I don't like all-powerful, all-godlike Superman. But, yeah, Viltrumites get stronger and stronger. And whatever doesn't kill a Viltrumite, they eventually heal. I love that. I love seeing them, like, all beat up in blood, and then, like, their body is lizard. I assume you read all the comics. I just like how they were explaining, like, basically the blood and the tissues laying on the ground was absorbing the nutrients right from the ground and rebuilding the body. I just love that. And it's really cool. I will say this, and again, I don't want to talk about this because I want to save this for its clobbering time. It's a really good topic. But I kind of like the way Viltrumites work over the way Kryptonians work. And again, I give too much. I don't want to spoil a show. Kryptonians do get stronger with more yellow sun radiation. About Kryptonians looking like humans, I assumed Krypton was similar enough to Earth that its intelligent species grew to each other. Okay, at this point, I have this fan idea in my head that it's, given what we know of the universe, like Carl Sagan planted the seed in my head years and years and years ago when I was a wee little one, that he said that if we went to another planet that had life, odds are we wouldn't even recognize it as life. It would be so different that we are more similar to a tree than not on a cosmic scale. You know, just the way evolution worked. You know, if you don't believe in evolution, the way God created people on, you know what I mean? There's a similar way our life, there's a similar thread through all life on Earth. If we went to another planet, it would have a completely different starting point to the, you know, so we wouldn't even recognize life on other planets. So why would other planets have human-looking beings is the way I'm thinking of this. And the only thing that makes sense is a race that seeded everything. A race that spread their seed, as disgusting as that sounds to other planets. And I look at it as, it's not Kryptonians. It's not Kryptonian. And I know here's where Logic Finance is going to disagree with me. But look at all the races that could do the same things as Kryptonians. You know, we got the Daxamites, but the Daxamites are Kryptonian colonies. Earthlings, we do have Earthlings that sooner or later can become as powerful as Superman. But there's one race that's already gone. They're older than the Kryptonians. That's the Martians. They're super strong. They could shape change. They could fly. They could do heat vision. They could do all of these things that Kryptonians do. And they colonized Gem, son of Saturn's world. You know, and so I look at the Martians. So the Martians, in my world, if I was to write a story in Elseworlds or whatever, the Martians achieve space flight. They do all these. Maybe they even fly in space. They're that powerful. They colonize. Why wouldn't they colonize Earth? So they colonize Earth. And what do? They gave their colonies on Saturn the same powers as them. They give Earthlings powers like them. And then what happens? They go nuts. They fight. They sink Atlantis. They destroy the original civilization to the point there's no evidence of them. And the Martians subdue them, take these people, and they put them in a prison because they don't want to kill them. It's their fault. They messed up Aaron, and they put them on this planet where the solar radiations are different, and they lose their powers, and they stay there forever, and that is Krypton. So in my world, in my way of thinking, the Martians created advanced humans, realized they done messed up. They put them in the one place where their powers don't work, which is Krypton. And then it was so long ago, maybe they didn't see it, or maybe they thought they'd deal with it, whatever. But the Martians got wiped out. Now the Kryptonians are like, we're going to get wiped out. They come back to Earth. There you go. Full circle. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Now, that's my headcanon. I also assume that's the big reason Superman's parents sent him to Earth. Yep. As a species, we don't have to be related, John, just genetic. It's too much of a coincidence that they look, act, and breed like us. You know what I mean? Like on Earth, we can't mate with apes. You know what I mean? It's just too much of a coincidence. You have to be the same species to be able to breed. Yes, you can have crossbreeds like Liger and stuff, but that they create hybrids that are sterile. Kryptonians also get stronger with time too. That's the whole thing of Legion superheroes and Superman 1,000,000. Yeah, I think you're confused as the man who is everything from whatever happened to the man of. Oh, did I confuse them? Okay, which is the whatever happened to the man of tomorrow? Did I mix it up? Okay. Earth, if we apply rational thinking, can't be unique, so there has to be plans for species that look. Yeah, and I even look at Earth. If there wasn't this accident that wiped out the dinosaurs, there wouldn't be humans, and there'd be these dinosaur creatures, we are just a mere accident of coincidence. Virtualites get stronger after each not time, and Kryptonians have powers under the yellow sun. Yeah, again, I'm not commenting. I'm saving this for its clobbering time. Kryptonians get more power. Yep. Again, I'm avoiding these comments because I want to save this for its. This is a good one. This is a good one. That's actually tight and coherent. Thank you. Superman turned into a god by sitting at the core of the yellow sun for hundreds of years. Yeah, again, it's just a personal choice. I don't like Superman as super god. I don't like that. I like Superman. Emphasis on both words. Superman. He's a Superman, not super god. That's what I like. Personally, I'm not a fan of that headcanon because it makes Earth the center of reality. Yeah, well, I do the same thing with Doctor Who. Why does Doctor Who always protecting the Earth? Because Earthlings go and colonize and found Gallifrey. So Doctor Who is protecting Gallifrey by protecting the Earth. And I know you don't like that one either. But sue me. I'm an Earth-centric human being chauvinist. Cal Kent, the Superman of the 85th, 3rd century, evolved his powers. He directed us his ultra powers along with the extra powers because he evolved. Yeah, I do. And I don't want to get involved in the Viltrumites and Kryptonians. I'll be quiet. There's so many things. I do like what Robert Kirkman did. I like it a lot, actually. That's why it's called DNA compatibility. Two species don't have to be related to me. It's DNA. Yep. True horses and donkeys make mules, but mules are sterile. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? I'm not a farmer. Vaughn, please know with the Doctor Who theory. I knew you were going to get mad. I knew you were going to get mad. Whatever happened to the man of tomorrow is essentially the ending of the golden age. Oh, okay. All right, I did mix it up. I mixed it up. Yes. For the man who has everything. Okay, I did mix it up. Yes, that was a good ending. It was a satisfying ending because it was a true ending. Because with the exception of Crisis on Infinite Earths, we never saw that Superman anymore. Yeah, okay, I stand corrected. Mules are sterile. Same with Ligers, right? Ligers can't. Yeah, there you go. Same with Ligers. Uh, wow, wow! I was ready to wrap it up 40 minutes ago. Still got a sip of coffee in there. Heroic Tales comic book. Somebody else made it. I know. Back my comic. Back my comic. You want to see issue number 3? I hate to emotionally blackmail you, but I'm emotionally blackmailing you. That drives me up a wall. Sci-fi has been dumbed down and made Earth-centric. Sci-fi used to be non-Earth-centric. Now it's for the mass. I'm an unabashed Earth-centric show. Not all, like, Star Wars. Star Wars is, I don't even think about Star Wars anymore. Star Wars was flawed from day one. Actually, I take it back. Star Wars was perfect until Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is when the crack started to show up. Star Wars was perfect. Empire Strikes Back was perfect. Actually, it wasn't. When they said there is another, and then that's where they started saying, yeah. So I take it back. A New Hope was perfect. Empire Strikes Back, little. That's when the rock hit the windshield, and then the rock turned into a big crack in Return of the Jedi, and then the windshield just fell out of the car. But we could talk. Yeah, we'll talk. You got to join us when we do the Viltrumites versus the Kryptonians. Hey, Eric. Marcus Kellegrew, salute. Oh, I should get a. Oh, can anybody get that hee-haw where they go, salute? And I'll put that in here. That'll be fun. Just a question. When you write comics, how do you write them out? I write fan fiction and prose, but I imagine comic writing as a script. How do I write them? Poorly. Now, okay, so what do I write? The very first comic script I wrote was the script for Heroic Tales #1, and it was a long. It was poorly written and it was poorly formatted. It was just paragraphs. This happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, and I didn't put any dialogue in because I figured I'd do the dialogue. So it was just a rambling lunatics, just description of things that really weren't. It wasn't a story. It was much like Godlike in that it wasn't a story. It was just cool things, cool thing. And thank God I got bad feedback on it. Then I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this seriously, I gotta, and I just started reading up. So now, you know what? Okay, you know what I'll do? Since you asked for it, you got it, Toyota. I will show one page of Heroic Tales script because you already read the comic, so why not? Do I even have? Oh, okay, it's in a different file. So documents. I didn't think of this. So let's see. Do I have Heroic Tales 1 script? Okay, let's see. Does it load up? It's been so long since I opened this. Now, keep in mind, this is one of the things about comic books is you do your edit for the lettering, so things might be different. Okay, so I'm gonna shut down this extra camera, and to answer your question, I will share my screen of. Am I sharing it? Okay, so there we go. I'm going to make this big, and I'll hide the current comment. So can we read this? Okay, so Heroic Tales 1, The Patriarch. See, it wasn't even titled Father's Day yet. Page 1, panel 1, a 1930s Chicago-looking gangster with a Tommy gun with a barrel magazine is smoking a cigar. He has the barrel of the gun at his hip, and he's pointing it at a crowd. He is in a large bank. There's a large fancy marble structure with the word Science City Savings. Now, you don't see, Renzo left that out. Science City, you don't see that in the script. He has 3 women with him, a blonde, a brunette, and a redhead. The brunette is African American, the blonde white, the redhead is also white. They're dressed like they're also from the 30s. Renzo didn't draw that. He drew them like they were Vegas showgirls. I was thinking of the hats and the flapper outfits. They have hats and bags. He didn't draw that. They were wearing dressing, stockings, and high heels. That he drew. So this is all panel one. The crowd is scared. You can see fear in the bank teller's faces behind glass partitions. The crowd is reacting with fear. A security guard is pointing at the gangster and yelling, "It's Boss Moxie." So does that answer some of your questions of how I write script? That's all one panel of one page. Okay. You could, for those of you who've seen the comic, you could see what Renzo drew, what he added, what he took out. But, the girls, that's not what 30s girls look like. 30s girls look like, Bonnie and Clyde. If you've ever seen that, that's what I was picturing in my mind. Bonnie, he drew Vegas showgirls, and I was like, yeah, that works. So, should I continue with this or no? What do you guys think? So, panel two, all you can see is Boss Moxie's and the girls. The blonde is Dame, the redhead is Gams, and that changed. She has great legs, and the brunette is Toots. That all changed. Since from the script to the comic. The blonde is Gams, the redhead is Mal, and the black girl is Dame. Toots never made it into the group. Where's Toots? That's the best name. Why did I get rid of Toots? I'm sure Gams, because her backstory is she was a dancer. She was a ballerina. Dame, she should have been Toots. I don't know. And then Mal, because I named the character Molly Cusack. And Mal is basically a gun Mal. Usually it's the girl who carries a gun, Put your hands where I can see them. Girls gather the money. He's holding the gun facing the crowd. That changed. That dialogue changed. So panel three. A shadowy man-shaped figure can be seen coming from outside. Boss Moxie is smiling as the girls are collecting the money. Boss Moxie. Toots, Dame, collect the money. Gam, get his gun. The security guard is putting his gun in a redhead's bag. Dame and Toots are behind. Renzo didn't draw that. One of the crowd people is pointing at the window. And then panel four, a bird's eye view, as you can see the patriarch's profile. So I give it up, Boss Moxie. It's over. Boss Moxie's mouth is open. His cigar is falling as he turns. The redhead is looking at the patriarch with a sexy look. She says, "Ooh, Daddy is here." The other girls haven't noticed yet. So there you go. That's how I write a script. Does that answer anything? Does that help? Oh, crazy face. What do you think? I'm trying to get back to the. So this is the comment. Just a question: when you write comics, how do you write them out? I write fan fiction and prose, but I imagine, and then I have no answer for it. How many panels do you need? How many? As many panels as feels right. And when do you turn the page? I turn the page when I can get rid of this now. I don't need this. When do you go for a page turn? When it feels like it need to me, every page has a focus. And when that focus, the focus on page one was Boss Moxie robbing the bank. So I needed as many panels as it needed for him to rob the bank. The second page, the focus was the patriarch showing up. So I didn't have the patriarch because that would have removed the focus for Boss Moxie. So the patriarch showing up just felt like a natural, that's when you turn the page. I'm not saying I'm an expert. It just, that's just the way it felt for me. So what do you guys think? Did I succeed? Did I fail? One of the things I'm doing is whenever Renzo does a sketch, I have him upload the sketch in the, or if he does something I want corrected so bad he starts all over again, we put in a file, and sooner or later I want to make it an art of Heroic Tales, or maybe art of Long Box Comics or whatever. And write up, I'll put like a couple of samples, pages of script and things like that, try to make it highfalutin. But I'll ask people, did they succeed? Did I do the right thing? But the answer is you gotta, and again, I have one comic book out. So consider the source. It's just something that feels right. The first page, the focus was on Boss Moxie robbing the bank. The second page, the focus was the patriarch showing up. So to have the patriarch on another page would have taken away the focus. It just felt right to do it. You guys tell me if I succeeded. Did they explain why the Viltrumites have gay Tom Selleck mustaches? Yeah, because it's masculine. They actually do. Facial hair. I'm surprised they don't have big bushy beards, but they all have mustaches because it's masculine, and they are the ultimate males. They are toxic masculinity. It's why all the women have big boobs, because that's the female. That's the ultimate heightened female. You know, I'm sure if he had written Invincible and it debuted 10 years later, they all would have had beards. But maybe that's just Robert Kirkman saying that Tom Selleck is the ultimate male, but they are supposed to be the ultimate male. So, of course, they have big, full facial hair, mustaches. And all of the women Viltrumites have big boobs, because it's a comment or caricature on masculinity and femininity. And I think all the female Viltrumites are very fecund. You know, they can have a lot of children. Empire Strikes Back is perfect. Best film of the whole. Yeah, the only flaw in that is that Yoda says, there is another. And that's when they retconned Leia from being just a random girl to a Skywalker. That was the beginning of the eventual breakdown of Star Trek. Other than that, it is perfect. I agree with you. Sci-fi these days does not dive into social high concepts anymore, like how Dune, the books, the 3-star problem. The 3-star problem? Are you thinking of the three object problem, whatever it's called? I didn't read that. I heard it's really good. Star Wars from the start felt like it was written as they filmed. Yeah, they kind of did. They fixed it through editing, from what I heard. I wasn't there. Okay, do you describe a scene and then just plug in the dialogue? I described the scene just like I showed the script, and then the dialogue is at the end. You know, so like, because that's why I figured, because the script is going to the artist. You know what I mean? So I give the artist everything to work with, and then I include the dialogue because the artist needs to be able to put in their facial expressions. You know, but the dialogue is fluid. The dialogue could change. There was a lot of changes in the dialogue and captions from the script of the Mary Sue to what you are going to see, and it changes for the better. You know, and some of it is because, like, I wrote a joke in the Mary Sue. There's no joke in the, because the way Renzo drew it, it really was dependent on the facial expressions. So I changed it. You know, it doesn't really, because Mary Sue's college girlfriend is a bit easy, so she made a sex joke, and it didn't work because of the way she was, you know, reacting in horror rather than reacting in a wow, you know, kind of look. So the joke wouldn't have worked. In 2000, all sci-fi became lucrative than ever, so it's dumb. Yeah. I can't argue with that. So many retcons in actual films. Leia and Luke becoming, if that we had kissed Jabba, went from a beast man to a slave. Yeah, I mean, in defense, we didn't see Jabba in the first movie, you know, so it wasn't really a retcon, if you know. But Luke and Leia, they were not siblings in the first movie. Vader was not their father in the first movie, you know. Vader didn't grow up on Tatooine. No, it went from just Vader was just that weird guy, weird first officer, you know, and then later he became the axis of the whole series. I don't know. It's like if they wrote all three movies at once, they would have blown up the Death Star: Return of the Jedi. The first movie would have ended in the destruction of a Star Destroyer, and then the second movie would have been the Empire, you know, taking out everything, and you know, them fleeing just like that. And then the third movie would have been the destruction of the Death Star, had they wrote it all at once. But you know, I know Return of the Jedi, they blow up another. It's like, oh, we see this already. Lucas had great ideas, but he should have let Spielberg make the film. Star Wars is the most inconsistent. Yeah, I agree. Logic and I can agree. 100 billion %, whatever that number is. That's why the books are comic of Star Wars are much better and more compelling. I just didn't like them because they weren't the movie. You know, now I like them. Now I'm getting the ones. I think I made it up to issue 13, so I'll get the rest of them and start reading them all. Jackson the Big Green Rabbit. Some of even the video games. Jabba the Hutt was always a giant slug. CGI didn't exist in 1977, but the creature effects advanced early enough by night. Was he written as a giant slug? You know, and if he was written as a giant slug, why would they put the guy in a costume? You know, the guy that's in the movie is in a costume. Wouldn't they have just made, like, does it matter? You know what I mean? So I don't think Jabba the Hutt was originally a giant slug. If he was, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. To this day, I believe the best Star Wars BD ever made is Knights of the Old. Yeah, people rave about that. People really, really do rave about that. I've never played it. Interesting. You do it panel to panel. Yes. I break down panel to panel. How many panels? As many as it's needed. As many as needed. You know, I got one page with 12 panels on it. You know, because that's what I felt. Because I couldn't go to the next page because the next page, maybe I could have done 6 pages. I don't know. But again, I'm a rookie. You know, I'm just a kid. I don't know what I'm doing. Anybody get that reference? Do you outline? Yes, I do. I outline when I'm having most of the times I go over it in my head and I just write out the script and then throw out the script and start again and look at the old script. Like that's what I do with Eddie is Doomed. I wrote that script as a rambling, incoherent. I was excited. I just wanted to get something down on paper. Then I wrote it panel to panel, page by page, and then I rewrote it again for Eddie is Doomed because, you know, I'm really proud of that story, and I want it to be something that people are like, oh yeah, that's not just superheroes, that's important kind of thing. You know, that's going to be by Highfalutin. It's going to be by Narzak Project, if anybody gets that reference. Sci-fi changed over time. H.G. Wells and Edgar Rice Burroughs explored other planets from the setting stories in other worlds. Yeah. The 3-body problem. That's it. The 3-body problem. Okay. 3-body problem. I didn't read it yet. I heard it was really good. Setting a sci-fi story in space or another planet removes all constraints. Allows. Yes. Yeah. It's the same thing that Aesop's Fables did. You know, you could criticize the king if you say lion rather than king. Things like that. Yeah. So that's why Star Trek, all the races are just other, you know, all the planets are just like the Vulcans or Vikings kind of thing, you know. Yeah, I write fan fiction where I have to describe things in great detail. I want to write comics. I always have where I imagine I wouldn't have to see as description as I write. You got to give us enough, unless you're drawing it yourself, you got to give us enough description so that your writer understands what you want. Because I was talking with one writer, and I'm kind of glad it didn't work out. But I just asked him, what's your on redraws? He goes, I'm not going to redraw it. So you got, and that was a big red flag. You know, like if something needs to be changed, it needs to be changed. I've offered to Oscar drew something, and I think there was just a misunderstanding. So I offered to repay him, draw it again, but this way, you know. And he was like, "Nah, don't worry about it. We'll fix it." So that was nice on his part. But Oscar and I have a relationship already. You know, I can't expect all writers to do that. Renzo does everything digitally in layers. Each background is this layer. So when he fixes, there's one thing that really needed to be changed. And it just agonized me. And I was like, you know what? I got to bite the bullet. This has to be changed. So and it was the first time I've ever asked him to change something. So I was like, hey, can you? And he goes, yeah, no problem. 2 taps. And I didn't know what he meant. And then he explained it. He just tapped, that whole layer got erased. And then he just drew in something else and put it back in. He said it took like 7 minutes, not even, to fix it. I was like, oh. So to get to the point, JP Vaughn, if you're working with an artist, you got to describe it so well that there's no problem when you see the finished art. If you see the finished art and you're enraged, everything like that, and this guy could pull up the script and be like, look, I drew what you asked, then that artist isn't wrong. You got to pay for another page. You know what I mean? So err on the side of description and detail. Unless you and your buddy are simpatico, or unless it's not that important. There's a couple of pages where I just said, draw what you want. It's not that important. You know what I mean? Just be consistent. You know what I mean? There's some pages I didn't need to describe the bank in that opening in every panel. You drew it, things like that. Eddie is doomed. I described Eddie's bedroom in great detail, and now Tonic Mole doesn't need to be reminded what Eddie's bedroom looks like on every page after beyond the first. So yeah, err on the side of caution, err on the side of description, because it's not fair to ask the artist to redraw a whole page because you weren't clear. That's your fault. Were you a fan of John Byrne's redesign of Krypton and the Kryptonians as opposed to the colorful? That's funny because we are just talking earlier about changing your mind. I hated the Golden Age, Silver Age Krypton as a kid. I just thought it was hokey. I was an edgy punk rock kid. And the John Byrne one, I didn't particularly like either because, I got what he was going for. That, Superman didn't want to long for Krypton because he's an Earthling. Now, I like the old campy, hokey, whimsical Krypton better. As an adult, I want my good guys good. I don't want the boys. I don't want deconstructive. I don't want the Dark Knight Returns. The Watchmen I still like because, they're well written and everything, but I kind of want superheroes to be blue sky, hopeful, the best of us kind of things. So just hope that answers your question. John Lucas said that those 3 films were the story. Vader was the dad all along, just repeating his words in that either. Oh, really? Okay, that's news to me. I'll trust you. And if that's the case, then he done messed up. You know what I mean? I do think Lucas is his own worst enemy. I really like Byrne's rework. I do like I like it. What is it now? What is it nowadays? Who knows? My favorite are people trying to rationalize Vader's name as being Dutch for father when it was really short for invader. Yeah. What do they call it? Fader? Yeah. Dark Vader. Yeah. Oh, Darth Vader. Dark Invader. I always thought of that even as a kid. CGI didn't exist in 1977, so according to Lucas and Stan Winston, they put a man on screen because the tech didn't exist. The giant prop was used in 1983 because they created that tech. Okay. Again, I didn't, I just thought it didn't matter. I didn't think that in the first movie, I didn't think that Jabba the Hutt was a big deal. I don't know. I tend to think that George Lucas made it up as he went along. But if you say he made all 3 stories all at once, I'll believe you. I got no proof to the contrary. I'm just arguing from my gut. But I just think if that was the grand story from all, then George Lucas is a worse story. Then it's more amazing that Star Wars is as good as it is. Wow, are you still on? Yeah, I keep talking until the comments are exploding, so I'm not going to turn it off. The John's mouth problem is great. The whole premise revolves around the idea that in nature and human history, the more advanced creature civilizations overtake. Yeah. Who was it that said that? There was a scientist that said that when 2 cultures meet, the more advanced civilization always wins. Hi, John. Mother's Day stuff. Happy Mother's Day to you. Which is why you should not put out signals to outer space. Yeah. Jack Kirby was a big on that. He said that doesn't know if there's aliens, but if there are aliens, we shouldn't be advertising our location to them. Look how well it worked out for the Aztecs and the Spanish. If you're afraid of this happening, have them. Yeah. Renzo does. Most professional, well, I can't say most. I haven't worked with most. I've worked with a small fraction of artists, but they do submit thumbnails. And do I have it? I showed this picture a few times. Is it here? Damn it. Oh, I wrote a little sketch of how a panel layout I wanted it to look. I draw sketches of main characters, or my drawings of main characters. Anything that could help. Mike Barron does stick figure drawings of choreograph of characters and panels. Now, I don't tell Renzo how big to make this panel. I don't tell him that unless I do, because so far Renzo it's almost like he's stealing the information out of my head. And you saw how there was a few changes, but the changes were fine. Does anybody complain that the girls look like showgirls? One person did. And I was just like, well, Boss Moxie's crazy. And it kind of makes sense. Here's a funny little happy accident. Boss Moxie was a more sinister, vile person in my mind. And then because Renzo drew the girls as ostentatious showgirls, it changed a lot about that character to the point I have a whole story arc about him that I wouldn't have had. He was never going to be seen again the way I envisioned him. But now, because Renzo either ignored, changed, misinterpreted, whatever, he drew the girls as showgirls, that made me think that he was more of a show-off, like that he got off on the publicity more, rather than the crime. And that gave me an idea for something else that I will use him again later on, because Renzo did something different than I asked him to do. And it's, I think, for the better. So working with people is fun, man. Working, other people's visions, you play off each other. It's like poetry, it rhymes. I just like that. I like that the author used the trinary solar system as the three-body problem as a science. I got to read this book. People say it's good. I prefer intricate and complex stories over blue sky and happy simplicity. It's just a preference. Right. Now, having said that, I keep talking as Heroic Tales as a blue sky, happy, bronze age, but I would like to think that there is going to be intricate, complex stories. That's just an elevator tagline to get people in the door. I have something planned for Patriarch number 1. I hope it's shocking. I have plans for family that I hope are shocking. This wouldn't happen in a 50s family comic. And I'll leave it at that. John, I'm just repeating George. I believe you. I'm not fighting, but I also wouldn't put it past George Lucas to reinvent his past, but whatever. I watched 20 years ago. Yeah, I was there. I wasn't there opening night. I was a little late to see Star Wars, but I was there. If it came out in May 4th, I probably was there in June. That's why I say Lucas is a good sci-fi idea guy. Absolutely. He's not a good sci-fi filmmaker. He should have let Spielberg. Yeah. His best movie he didn't direct, right? I always send thumbnails or loose pencils. Yep. And Lucas got my Marcus, you got my script. Is anything unclear? Anything vague? So there you go. Wow, I'm caught up. 79 people watching. Wow, it's going up rather than down. Go spend time with your mothers and fathers, everybody. Let's see. Do I have an example of? I think I have an example of Marcus. Okay, here's an example. I described the character of Poinsettia to Marcus. I didn't draw it because she doesn't have a costume. You know what I mean? So he drew that for Poinsettia. And I was like, she has glasses. So he just did this. He just added the glasses. Perfect. That's Poinsettia. That's almost literally what I was thinking of in my brain, And that's it. So far, so good in script. Cool. Anything else? Anything else? I got to eat a pretzel. My stomach. I'm getting so hungry. Let's see. Logic Finder says the Dune series that Frank Herbert wrote is the greatest sci-fi novels ever written. Intricate. Yeah, I tried a couple of times to read Dune. I just didn't like it. I don't know why. I'll try it again. Yes. That's an actual dress, by the way. Oh, is it? Well, her name was Poinsettia, and her dress just has poinsettias all over it. So you actually found a dress with that? That's cool. That's cool. The Do novels are so hood. I know what you meant. I know what you meant. Well, it's 1 o'clock. My wife wants to go to the ball, and I want to get this Bikini Girls script. And I can't even tell you the title of the story because it'll spoil too much. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. It's gonna be so good. I want to get that done and then continue working on Stippling Vaughn's script. I think I'm waiting. I'm making him wait too long. Dune explores humanity's need to be led. The power. Yeah, the concepts are really good. The concepts from other people, because other people, when I tell them I don't like Dune, you gotta like it. You gotta like it. You gotta like it. And they explain it to me, and it sounds great. I don't know. I should give it a chance. Give it another chance. It's been about 25 years since I tried. Humanity has always repeats the same cycle over time. Dude. All right, this time for real. I'm gonna go. I'm hungry. We're gonna go to the food court. I want to get some poutine. Dune is a very dense novel. It's hard to read, John. I understand. Yes, and I got to say, after reading the Silmarillion and then rereading the Silmarillion, I think I'm ready for another dense. I read it in college, and I think I wasn't ready. I don't know. I just didn't like it. I'll try it again. Good night, everybody. Nothing. It's not like I hate it. I want to try it again. I tried reading Ayn Rand, and Atlas Shrugged. I just couldn't read it. I just couldn't read it. But there you go. All right. I'm really going this time. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Be nice to your mom. And like Mr. T said, respect your mom. Bye-bye.